What's up, guys? Welcome back to I-90 Sports, episode 12. Welcome back, I-90 Sports Nation, Patriots Nation, Boston Sports Nation. What's up, guys? We brought along a special guest this morning to take us into the Pats and Bucs and talk some Red Sox and some Bruins as well. So Shukri Wrights, the voice of the EHL play-by-play guy, the owner of the Shukri Wrights show. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's my pleasure to be joined with you this morning on a Sunday morning in which that this is no ordinary Sunday. You got the return of Tom Brady to New England with the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then also the chaos that is going to ensue beginning at 3 o'clock with Major League Baseball. Yes, it's an NFL Sunday. It is, but you got to admit, there's something added to this day in particular in terms of just the sheer ramifications for the Major League Baseball postseason. The Yankees and the Red Sox, I mean, by day's end, they both could be tied. They both can win today and have the wild card game here in Boston on Tuesday, and they both could lose, and somehow there'll be a three-way tie, which is absolutely unbelievable considering where we were just 3 months ago. It really is.
Even 1 month, just a month ago, it was in no way, shape, or form do we think this was going to be a wild sprint to the finish in one game. It's been an interesting final month of baseball for sure. Let's start it off though, man. Let's start it off with the Pats and Bucs, and we'll get into some Patriots and Bucs. The return of the GOAT, Bill versus Tom. Brady bringing the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers back into Foxborough. I guess the first question I would want to ask you, man, is how are you going to be looking at this game? Are you going to like so here's how I look at it, right? I will give Brady the nod of the head and the acknowledgement pregame and postgame, but the guy's coming in here wearing a different jersey. So for those 60 minutes of the game, he's the enemy, man. I hope he eats the dirt every play. And I hope, he's the enemy, dude. I'm telling you, I will acknowledge him pregame, postgame, and when he breaks the passing record, he gets the respect in that. But outside of that, the guy's wearing a different jersey. He's coming in here as a Buccaneer, not a Patriot. And like I said, I'll give him the respect pre and postgame for what he did for this organization for 20 seasons. But outside of that, I hope he eats the dirt every play. But I'll let you. What do you think, Shukri?
For the sake of this podcast video, especially being on YouTube going viral, I'm going to put this out there publicly. I love Tom Brady just as much as every diehard Patriots fan, and I'm highlighting diehard Patriots fan. Not Tom Brady fan. No.
Oh yeah.
I'm not talking about Tom Brady fans. No. I'm not talking about those pink hats who have the freaking audacity to show up at Gillette wearing a half Patriot, half Buck. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense. I'm not talking about you pink hat Tom Brady complete donkey riding suckers out there. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is I love the man. However, he's the enemy tonight. And I made mention of this in my tweet yesterday, and I was very blunt and I was very honest, and I still stand by it. I'm going to dig my feet even firmer into the ground, if I may. And I'm going to start out by saying I root for the Patriots. I do not root for the enemy. I don't. I root for the players that are playing currently for the New England Patriots. I appreciate what legends have done in the past. Dear Brady fans, do not live in the past. The past was glamorous. The past was sexy. The past was where all the memories were made, 6 Super Bowl titles and all. But the past is the past. We're talking about tonight. He's coming to Foxborough as a member of the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in which, oh, by the way, he left New England and basically gave Bill Belichick the biggest middle finger in America and probably sports history
of all
back in
time.
February, in which that he said, "Oh, you thought the system was you? Okay." Goes to Tampa. Despite a bit of a slow start, because let's call it for what it was. The Bucs did get off to a slow start in 2020, but they finally figured it out in December and played their best football from December on, all the way through January, through the Super Bowl, in which they won. Now, I look at this game as, yes, the sentiments will be there. A lot of people will be sentimental. I will. But it does not mean that I will be rooting for Brady during the game. I'm not. I don't hate the man. But the problem that I have with Patriot fans, especially here in Boston, especially in Boston sports media this week, is that when we sit here and we talk about Brady, we talk about what he has meant to the New England Patriots. We're not talking about the fact that Bill Belichick did not believe in him when he should have believed in him. Remember the statement that Brady made a few years back in which he said, "I want to play till I'm at least 45." Because that came before the statement that came out this past week. He said, "I can see myself playing until I'm age 50." I mean, for goodness sakes, he's 44 right now. He's gone up to at least 45. He already proved Belichick and Kraft wrong in that regard. So ultimately, how I view this game is going to be the ultimate middle finger to Belichick and Kraft. Thank you for the memories. F you. And I'm here to completely show you exactly what you allow to walk out the door. And now Patriots fans are going to be reminded of just how good we had it. Keyword, had it.
Yes.
And I mentioned this on yesterday's radio show, the Shukri Show on 91.5 FM, WMFO, and as well as streams nationwide on the TuneIn radio app. I mentioned in the grand scheme of things, and I feel like there has not been enough conversation about this. If the Patriots lose this game, not only do we fall to 1-3, but here's the bigger problem. This is the biggest game the Patriots will play in for the foreseeable future. There is no other bigger game than this. I went through the entire schedule yesterday on live on the radio airwaves. Dallas, that's not a big game. The only word to it is that it's America's team, with air quotes. The only alert to it is, it's Mac Jones against Dak Prescott. But again, it's like, is that really sexy versus, Brady returning to New England as now a 7-time Super Bowl champion?
And let's be honest, which game was circled on our calendars? It wasn't a Dallas one.
No,
it was this one.
Yeah, we knew about this back since what? Since freaking April, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like, okay, that's easy. Everybody in the NFL knew that this was going to be the game of the year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's not even debatable. But what we also realized, and I brought forth to this, I want to bring forth to this again now. I dare you, or anyone else that's watching or listening to this podcast, circle on your calendar when's the next big game for the Patriots. I'll wait. I'll honestly wait. It ain't against Buffalo. It ain't against the Chargers. It ain't against whatever NFC South team, the Falcons, for God's sakes, on Thursday Night Football later in the season. It ain't.
No.
This is the biggest game we'll have for a while. And that's a scary freaking proposition if you're a Patriots fan, considering that we are used to playing in big game year in and year out for 9 straight years, and as well as for the last 20 years that Brady was here. So to wrap up my point, this game is not just another game, but this is going to be the ultimate FU to Belichick and Kraft for allowing the most important player of this dynasty to walk out the door. The NFL, I've always believed, has been a quarterback-driven league. You don't believe me? I'll prove to you right now. Case in point. Let's look at Denver, for example. Prior to getting Peyton Manning, who was their quarterback? Oh, that's right, Jake Plummer, and then for a very brief period of time, Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
Were they getting to the Super Bowl?
Nope.
Were they winning Super Bowl? No.
No.
No. That's just one example. Oh, another example. That's right. New Orleans.
Take Breeze out of New Orleans.
Take Breeze out of New Orleans. They're not winning Super Bowl 44. Hell, they're not even having
no shot.
Success.
No way.
No shot.
Exactly. There you go. So the quarterback is the most important piece to the puzzle. And the fact that Bill Belichick and his effing freaking arrogance thought that, well, he's just another piece of the puzzle. We could just get another quarterback. It's no big deal. Yeah, okay. Let me know how that has worked for you the last 2 years. You thought you bring in Cam Newton and you thought that was going to work.
That's exactly what I said.
And it failed, and you fell flat on your face. And I said this in March. You guys can check my Twitter. I said this in March. And I've always believed that
Sorry about that.
if the Patriots put by Cam Newton, you better hope and pray that I'm not yelling for Belichick to lose his job because of poor roster construction. Yes, he spent money in free agency. I give him credit. But how many times have we seen in a recent history of the NFL in which that teams have spent money in free agency only for it to fail? It doesn't work often. And that was my concern going into training camp. And I know it's only week 4 and there's only been 3 games played. I get all of that. But the results so far have not been good between the 3 games that have been played against Miami, the Jets, and as well as the Saints last week.
And Shukri, let's be honest, right? Miami and the Jets, those should have been slam dunk wins.
Should have.
Slam dunk wins.
Yeah. If not for the turnover, I was at the Miami game in week 1. I was there. If not for the turnovers, I think the Patriots, in fact, should have won that game outright.
Oh, if Harris doesn't fumble the football at the end of that game, Mac Jones completes the game-winning drive. Whether they score a touchdown or kick a field goal, he completes that game-winning drive. They win the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree, but here we are. They're 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
And I've put out my prediction already. I said, listen, I expect the Buccaneers to win this game outright. And I know Patriot fans, they're saying that, well, I think the Pats are going to win this game. I'm like, okay, you tell me how that pass defense is going to match up against Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, even though Antonio Brown and Gronkowski are not playing in this game tonight. Tell me how that run defense is going to stop Leonard Fournette. Please.
See, it's funny though, because I like Ronald Jones better than Fournette. I think
Ronald Jones is a stud. Yeah,
I think his ceiling. I think Jones' ceiling is better than Fournette's because I think he's quicker. I think he's better. Like Fournette is a straightforward, run downhill kind of guy. You get Ronald Jones running side, moving laterally to off tackle. That's tough. That's tough.
It really is, and especially considering that. And I talked about this last week in my tweets that the Patriots' run defense has been porous. They struggled to stop Alvin Kamara last week, whether he was running out of the backfield or he was pass catching. I don't know how they're going to be able to figure this key aspect out tonight because I don't like this feeling in terms of the X's and O's. Take out all the pageantry and all that fun stuff out. Yeah. But in terms of just pure X's and O's, I don't like this matchup at all for the Patriots. In fact, it's a mismatch at quarterback. It's a mismatch on the offensive line. The Buccaneers' offensive line is better than the Patriots' offensive line. And I dare any Patriot fan to challenge me on that and say that I'm wrong. Through the first 3 games,
the Patriots offensive line has it. So this is I want to get. So this is another thing too. Like,
yeah,
what's really crazy about this season is that what we as Pats fans thought the strong points of the team were going to be have been like wildly underperforming. Underperforming. Like the offensive line, we thought was going to be a cornerstone of this team. It was the offensive line was going to drive the team, protect Mac, let him do his thing, let him do his thing. The offensive line has struggled this year. They have struggled. They're going through injuries. The linebacking core we thought would have been great in coverage, and just people would not have been able to run against us because of the line. You got Bentley, you got Hightower, you got Van Noy in coverage, you got Uche. They're allowing like 4.2 yards on average per carry in the run game, and then in the passing game, forget about it. The middle of the field has been left wide open for teams to just take advantage of. The most shocking thing for me this season has just been the attributes of this team that we thought were the strengths have been wildly underperforming, and it's affecting everybody. Mac Jones is, I think, getting rid of balls too fast and speeding up through his progressions and not letting routes develop because he's worried about getting hammered. 15 times. The kid's getting hit 12 times a game.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't help that Mac Jones, if you remember from the Jets game, was running for his life.
Yeah,
like he was running for his life against a Jets team that we often joke about and we make fun of, but that was a pretty solid defense of the Jets that they played against the Jets.
Yeah,
and
the offensive line couldn't do anything against the Jets front 4, front 7. They were bad.
Like it was just atrocious to watch, but. I'm going to rattle off these next few games that we got coming up after this game in particular, because the more I think about it, the more aggravated I begin to feel, because I realize with the problems that the Patriots currently have, and I get that, well, we just came out of the month of September, and Belichick historically has never been great in the month of September, with the exception of 2007. But, oh my gosh. Listen, we got the Texans, we got the Cowboys, you got the Jets again in week 7, you got the Chargers, you got the Panthers. And oh, by the way, in week 10, you got the Cleveland Browns. Between the Browns, Panthers, Chargers, Jets, Cowboys, and Texans, which opponent do you honestly feel the best and the most confident about going into that particular matchup? It's maybe only
the Jets and Texans. That's it.
I agree, 100%.
The Jets and Texans. That's it. Those other teams, they're not a guaranteed win.
No, not at all.
They're 60-40 in my opinion for the way that they're playing now. They're 60-40 loss.
I'd be surprised if the Patriots do go above 500, but we did talk about at the beginning of the season that was the case. We thought it was either going to be like 9 wins, 10 wins, or under. So it's like it is something to think about. To add on to your point, I actually think you're right. I think Bill Belichick, especially the last 5 years, he's been one of the worst general managers. Keep in mind, he's won like 2 Super Bowls in that time, been to 3, and he's been 6 years. He's been one of the worst GMs in the league, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And you can't blame Tom Brady for that. You can't blame anybody for that except for him. And maybe he shouldn't be the GM anymore. Maybe that's a thought. If you can't draft wide, and that's the thing with the Patriots too. His strength is the secondary. I think the Bucs
and defense, the front 7 as well.
Right. Well, I think the Bucs, their wide receivers are going to eat that secondary alive. So I think Belichick's going to get embarrassed today. And it's 100% Belichick. It's not anyone else either, because you're right. It was his stubborn attitude that pushed Brady out anyway. Knowing he wanted to play till he was like 45, 50, You give up on him. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You gotta eat. You gotta lay in the bed that you made, right?
And JD, I want to add to that point. And I'm glad you brought this up because I have been the most harshest critic of Belichick, the GM, the last 2 years.
He always gets a pass though.
Like no, not by
from
me
you though. Yeah, not from
by
you,
me.
but everybody else.
Because I've called Belichick out multiple times on the air.
Yeah.
As the general manager, I don't question him as a coach.
Right.
All the time, but I pick my spots where I tear him apart. But when it comes to the GM, holy smokes.
Not
in
good.
2019, I am never going to forgive him for the fact that you drafted effing N'Keal Harry in comparison to when, I'm sorry, some guy named DK Metcalf was available in the second round.
So, well, look at the receivers that got picked ahead of him, right?
I'm not going to let go.
So DK, Hollywood Brown, or the receivers that were available. I think there was Hollywood Brown, DK Metcalf.
Brown's become a stud, by the way, and we don't even talk about him enough when he's doing with Baltimore, correct?
Yeah.
We don't talk about him enough.
Yeah, I know. It's wild.
It's
and where has Harry been?
Wild that he like the receivers that were still on the board, and he picked N'Keal Harry. Like that was mind blowing. Like what? Why? Like,
still mind blowing. Absolutely.
Yeah, mind blowing. Why?
Like it blows my mind because it makes me so freaking angry when I think about this, when I talk about this. I have long said that Bill Belichick, the general manager, sucks when it comes to drafting skill position players.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you mean?
Skill position. That's exactly what it is.
Allow me to explain. Let's go back to 2010. 2009, 2010. I will give Belichick credit for drafting Julian Edelman. I'll give him credit for that. I'll give him credit for drafting Rob Gronkowski in 2010. I'll give him that credit. But man, outside of that, your receiving core during those years, I mean, we all remember Robert LaFell, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we
kind of.
Brandon LaFell.
LaFell, excuse me,
LaFell.
sorry.
Yeah, I know him.
I mean, goodness grief. We all remember when Chris Hogan was here. We all remember like a bunch of these undrafted guys that were basically scraps before coming to New England, and they arriving here. But when was the last time that Belichick had drafted an absolute stud of an offensive weapon in the first round? It was Gronkowski.
Yeah, it was Rob Gronkowski.
It was Gronkowski.
10 years ago.
11 years ago.
11 years ago. My God.
And it was like, no. I'm not even getting on you on that. Oh, please. That's the least of my worries.
Mm-hmm.
But to you guys' point, the drafting has been atrocious. But what about Sony Michel? Didn't it work out? Yeah, it worked out for 1 year.
No, but listen,
1 year. 2018, that's it.
He took a risk. So it's funny you brought Sony Michel up. Let's go there for a second. All right. Let's go there for a second. Okay. So in my opinion, when you draft a first round running back, he shouldn't need a fullback in front of him to reach his full potential.
James Devlin. And James Devlin really did the heavy lifting for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Devlin did all the heavy lifting in that. You took James Devlin away from Sony Michel, and you truly saw what he really was. He had James Devlin in front of him for that, for most if not all of that season, and you saw what he could do.
Yeah.
But as soon as you took that blocker, that guy to make the first, and you know what he did? He did what Sony Michel isn't good at. Shuk and JD. Sony isn't good at making initial contact and going forward.
He's not a power running back the way that.
I mean, so you take a guy like a fullback and put him in front of him to take the initial contact, and then Sony can go off the block. But you took him out of that. You took the fullback out of that scenario, and you saw what he really is, a third-round running back at best.
And to that point, man, I hope Patriot fans don't cringe when I say this, but doesn't this make you appreciate what LeGarrette Blount did for us?
I was going to bring that up
in
too.
2014 and 2016 during those Super Bowl runs.
Hey, we'll go further back. We'll go even farther back than that, right? We'll go even farther back than that. Corey Dillon.
Oh, absolutely. 04.
Corey Dillon.
That 04 team. What Corey Dillon was, those guys were the type of running backs that you need, that are power running backs, physical, can not be afraid to run towards contact and run into the second level of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have that with Michelle. He was more of a finesse runner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets contact and then he goes down. He'll average you maybe 3.7 yards per carry, and it's like, what the hell, dude? Like,
and that's only if he's spaced out a little bit.
That's
not if
exactly.
he's yeah.
But if he's not spaced out, if he's running strictly in the box,
yeah,
he's not averaging more than 4.5 yards.
Yeah, that's when they call him Blunt.
But Blunt,
yeah, he's a beast.
Go ahead, man. I'm just telling you, we could go far. Like, we could just go farther back, like back to the Dillon days. The guy was
Kevin Falk. Yeah.
Though he's like, Michelle's just not a number one running back, like a first round running back. The guy just you shouldn't need help to reach your full potential if you're a first round pick in a running back.
I agree, and to me, oh man, this is why the loss of James White for the season last week it basically tells me they're screwed.
Huge.
They are absolutely screwed in terms of the run game. I am not sorry for what I'm about to say, but expect the run game to be trash for the remainder of the year. Brandon Bolden is not your answer. He's not your answer. And if your answer is Rhamondre Stevenson, then you have worries, you have concerns. Because I'm not sold that Belichick did enough to address the run game outside of James White. You traded him to not him, but you traded Sony Michel to the Rams. Okay, fine. I was surprised. But I was like, okay, I can deal with that. But now you go into the running backs room and you're looking around and you're like, oh, damn, James White, he's gone for the season. Who do we have left? Oh, that's right. Oh, man. Our options are absolutely limited here. I wonder why that is. I wonder. So now, what are you going to do in terms of addressing the running game situation? And oh, by the way, that those running backs kind of have to deal with a crappy offensive line.
Yep.
I feel quite lovely and confident about where this is heading. It's no big deal, right? Like, we should be just fine. I mean, for God's sakes, Rhamondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, J.J. Teller, and Brandon Bolden. Does that impress any of you guys? Maybe Damian Harris, if he can hold on to the ball.
At the beginning of the season, on paper, it looks pretty good. But from what I've seen so far, it's not, like you said, it's not as impressive when you look at the whole unit. To add on to your point, though, about Brady and all the I would say crap that Belichick put around him, kind of especially the wide receiver position. Mm-hmm. Let's look at this. Chris Hogan went with the Patriots, borderline Pro Bowler. Leaves Patriots, nothing. He's trash. So that's all Tom Brady. That's all Tom Brady. To me, that's like 99% Tom Brady. Danny Amendola, he hasn't been the same since he left Tom Brady. Same thing. Has not been the same. There's a ton of guys like this. Like, I'd say about half of time. Like, if you see the list of receivers that Tom Brady has thrown a touchdown to, it's like 140 people, or it's 120 people. So like 80 of those people never had any success on any other team. It was just Tom Brady was success. Brought him success. So I think Belichick completely did not understand that. I think that went right over his head. He thought like, oh, well, my system must be really, really good. And in reality, he had an incredibly good quarterback. And you know what? Maybe Mac Jones is that guy someday. Maybe Belichick is right. Maybe he can evolve somebody into it. But I think it'll take like 5-6 years. In the meantime, Brady's going to be winning Super Bowls. So that's my response and my add-on to what you had said.
Man, listen. when I tell you that it would, if Brady wins another Super Bowl this year, I'd say if, because we obviously know we got a lot of football left from now until like freaking January 9th, which is the last day of the regular season. There's a lot of football left. But if Brady wins another Super Bowl this season, now I'm like honestly calling for Belichick to be let go. And it's funny because locally, and in full disclosure, I listen to Felger Mass, not religiously, because those two numbnuts drive me off the wall. but as a fellow radio host and broadcaster, I respect the hell of what they do, because they're damn terrific at what they do. But Tony Mass made a point on the air in which that he was teetering or at that point of which that he wants Belichick gone. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not mad at you. I'm actually with you, because again, how long are we going to give Belichick the leash of? Well, he won 6 Super Bowls. No, Brady, and also parts of your system, the defensive side of the ball, not offense. The offense wasn't you.
No.
Let's be honest. The first half of the dynasty.
My opinion was
you can thank Charlie Weiss for that.
Yeah, Bill won the first 3. Brady won us the second 3.
Charlie Weiss, interesting.
Charlie Weiss, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he was good.
Was creative enough and smart enough to realize this is what you have in Brady.
Yeah,
but also, pardon me, but also give credit to the guys that we had during the first half of the run, like the Troy Browns of the world, the legendary Troy Brown, the Deion Branches of the world. And we talked about Corey Dillon. We talked about Kevin Falk. Like we talk about, don't forget Ben Watson. I'll be wrong if I didn't mention anything about Ben Watson, because he was part of that 04 team.
Yep.
Like we had those guys, and we knew how to use the system to make it work with Brady. So I give Charlie Weiss that. Bill Belichick deserves a ton of credit for the first half of the dynasty, because those defensive teams in 03 and 04, we had the best defense in the NFL. With Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Richard Seymour, Ty Law, the Hall of Famer,
Ted Johnson,
Ted Johnson.
Ty Law.
Like I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. I give him that credit. But the second half,
it's Brady. Those last 3 are all Brady.
Especially Super Bowl 49, the comeback at the time was the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history at the time, before 51. But what made that even more meaningful, and the reason why I say it was, and I agree with it, it's Brady, is because think about this. The Seahawks had the best defense in the league for 2 years in a row. If not the best, top 3, hands down.
Beast,
no question.
Yeah. Amazing.
They had the Legion of Boom at its height. They're up. I'm talking about the Seahawks. They're up by 10. If you guys remember the game.
Oh,
they're
God.
up by 10 in
that
the
was
fourth
amazing
quarter.
Game. That
game was absolutely freaking incredible. And that touchdown pass from Brady to Edelman, that's Brady. That whole drive was Brady-esque.
That game was arguably better than the Falcons game, because it was back and forth. But the Falcons game was the amazing comeback. It was like the story, you know what I mean? But like as far as the game goes,
the Falcons Super Bowl was that second half of the Falcons Super Bowl was probably some of the most impressive football I've ever watched. It was
like
by far
Brady took the field on each drive, and the guy just simply would not be denied. Would not, like him at all. Like he drove that. Like he drove.
He was on a
just
mission.
listening.
Yeah.
The mic'd up stuff with him on the sidelines, just talking to the guys. We're just chip away, man.
Laser focus, let's go.
Chip away at it. You know, little by little. Even down, even 28-3, him and Jules. I remember, you listen to the mic'd up between the two of them.
NFL films,
they knew. They knew we're going to chip away at it, and it was that mentality, that attitude is just you don't see that. Like the guy is just, he would not be denied in that Super Bowl. Would not be denied.
And you want to know what's amazing about that game in particular? And what I think about it, like that second half was by far the most incredible football that I watched as a Patriots fan in my life. It's not even close. And this is no disrespect to Super Bowl 38 against Carolina, because that was the best back and forth game that I've seen in the Super Bowl as a Pats fan by far. Like the most impressive. You talk about 38 against Carolina, the back and forth between Brady and Jake Delhomme, and then that was back when on the Panthers they had Muslim Muhammad as well as Steve Smith. On that Ricky Prohl, the tight end as well. That was a back and forth game, but the Patriots were never down by a substantial amount. It was just back and forth. The Patriots being the lead, the Panthers being the lead, and so forth. But 51, I remember this to this day. Like I was here in Boston. It was actually exactly 10 days before I moved here to Boston, and I was here it was the last visit for me before I moved here, but it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I remember
dart to Gronkowski in that game.
Like I wore my Gronk jersey, actually, the home alternate Reds, the old ones.
Yeah.
I which I still have it somewhere.
Those are slick.
I went to the now closed Whiskey's in Back Bay, and I
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm gonna miss that place so much. That place is closed it closed down because of the pandemic, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that sucks.
So I was walking in Back Bay, and I'm walking down Boylston, and at this point, I mean, I'm not sure like if you guys like live in Boston or Greater Boston. I don't know. I'm not going to assume.
I know it pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, like I walked past on Copley, walking towards Whiskey's, and this nothing but Patriot fans. Like everybody's in Pats gear. It's like maybe 2.5 hours before kickoff, and I remember getting there, and I was just barely lucky to get a seat at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey's back at that time had the 25-cent wings, and it was Sunday, and it was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna take full advantage. I mean, it may end at 9:00. I'm talking about the special, but I'm not gonna say no. Hell yeah, give it to me. I'll buy lemonade on it if I got to. So I get there, and the game kicks off. I mean, we all remember the abysmal first half it was. So I remember just how quiet it got. It was just quiet, and my eyes start drifting off towards the window that's directly facing Boylston Street, and I'm like, there's no one was walking based on what I saw. No one was outside walking. It was just quiet. Everybody was inside, whether they were inside the apartments or like wherever bar they were at, whether they were a Back Bay Social or Mcgriff's up the street. Which is right across. I believe it's right across from Heinz Convention Center. So we're all watching the game, and now the second half starts, and I'm like, it's 21-3. How much worse can it get? And then when Atlanta scored and made it 28-3, I'm like, man, this really doesn't feel good. And I just remember feeling, and I remember honestly thinking, man, this is going to be awful. I mean, goodness grief, Brady is about to be 4-3 in the Super Bowl. And then when the Patriots scored and they made it 28-9, and I remember like Gostkowski had missed the extra point, and I was pissed. I was pissed. I'm yelling and screaming like, "We needed that point! What the hell are you doing?" And then the play that I remember most that changed, and I stand by this to the day that I die, is the sack and the forced fumble by Dante Hightower on Matt Ryan.
Change the game. Change the game.
That was the moment that I said, okay, now we have momentum. If we can somehow score in this drive after getting the ball back, we had a game now.
Yeah.
And they did. And I just remember like you could feel the excitement begin to really build. It was like, oh, maybe it's not going to be as bad as we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a very close friend of mine, extended family, rather. That's really what he is. He called me. He was watching the game back in New Jersey, and he was like, "Yo, Shook, I know you're in Boston right now, but are you watching this game?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna let you listen to the background. He was like, you're at a bar somewhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm in Back Bay right now watching this game. Like, and then I remember, I remember when they tied it up and just the explosion of you could hear the noise.
Bro, the whole like you could hear the city for like it
Literally,
felt
yes,
like you could hear the city for 10 miles.
Everyone knew what was going to happen after they tied
if you
it.
were within 10 to 15 miles, you heard everybody screaming when they tied that game up. Like, wherever you were watching the game, it was like, oh my God, is this really my words were, is this really happening right now? Is this no way is this really happening? And when they won that coin toss, I said game over.
It's over. It was over. As soon as they won the coin toss,
we all knew.
Yeah,
they're done. It's done. Brady. I was like, Brady is not losing this game. Brady is not losing this game.
But then when James White ran that ball in for the Super Bowl winning touchdown, oh my God! Like my buddy calls me again, and he has like maybe a 15-minute he's like, I had 15 seconds.
Yeah,
so he kept quiet. He's I just want to hear your reaction, and we lost it. I mean, completely, utterly lost it. And I remember the celebration in Back Bay that night was just epic beyond belief, because it was like, how did we come back from 28-3 down? How? We were supposed to be buried, like complete this game was over. Atlanta's gonna have their first Super Bowl, their first championship since the 1995 Atlanta Braves. Like, but I still remember like trying to walk down Boylston, and there was no walking down Boylston. There was no walking without walking into a huge mob of a crowd, like in Copley, and just, man,
that's awesome.
Just thinking about it, it's like, that game brought back a lot of memories. Like, oh, for sure.
So what was even better, and it was like poetic justice too, man, because like the Super Bowl parade for that for the Atlanta Super Bowl, was nasty. It was snowing out, and it was cold. It was like snow disgusting. And rain and cold, and 1 million people came out. Dude, I just remember sitting in a bar. We partied for 8 hours, like 8 to 10 hours, man, just sitting in the city. Like, it was incredible. It was incredible. That was like, you could tell, like, the city, like, we wanted that one. We were going to enjoy that one,
because
Robert Kraft really, and I don't mean really, put it poetically after receiving that Lombardi trophy. And I remember his words, and you saying that we have gone through a lot over the last 18 months. And I don't need to say anything more about that. That this is unequivocally the sweetest. And those words stayed with me. Like, I'm like, unquestionably, because Brady getting suspended the first 4 games because of the Deflategate, and the fact that he took the fall for that was just asinine in my book.
Oh, like, yeah, that was stupid as hell.
And you know what's funny? We live in a city in which that, and as you know, that we thrive whenever there's controversy. But I can't remember, and this is before I even moved to Boston, but I was actually following this from living in New York at the time, like in college, like towards the end of my undergrad years, that the way that the Deflategate was covered, I still remember just the vitriol outside of New England, and even listening
the smear campaign that it was.
Smear campaign. I was listening to Dennis and Callahan back in like the early spring of 2015, and listening to EEI, and later down the line, I also started listening to the Sports Hub, and I'm like, they're really trying to make Brady the scapegoat in all of this. Belichick wanted no part of it, and it was like, Bill tossed him. It was bad. He tossed him right under the bus. It was.
I got nothing to do with this, guys. My hands are, like he tossed him right under the
One
bus.
of the many reasons why I don't blame Gronkowski.
You had to bring that up, did you?
Yeah, I had to throw that out there. I had to pour some gasoline on the fire. But before we talk about that, I think Kevin Stewart had a really interesting comment that maybe we should bring up really quick, if you don't mind.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Just at least the first one. Imagine. Yeah, that
How
one.
have I not looked at the comments this entire time is beyond me. It's like, what the heck? Man, this is
got a lot of good comments, but this one was interesting. No, you're great.
You're
great, man.
I'll be right back. 2 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to so he says just imagine.
Go ahead, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. He says just imagine Brady would have 10 Super Bowls if not for a dropped interception by Asante Samuel, a dropped catch by Wes Welker, and Belichick dropping the ball by not playing Malcolm Butler against the Eagles.
You see, Super Bowl 52, and I'm glad. Thank you for all of you who are watching this live and are commenting in the commenting box. I'm going through it right now. It's like, man, this is really amazing. Just reading through the comments and stuff, everybody watching. But Super Bowl 52, I have not forgiven Belichick for at all. This was the ultimate. My Scrooger is bigger than yours. I'm the head coach.
Yep.
And then the report. Did you catch the report? This that came out this past week. That the reason why Malcolm Butler did not play was because he got into a little bit of a tiff with,
I did see that.
With defensive coordinator Patricia.
Yeah.
Like, are you effing kidding me? That's the reason why? When is the last time that a player gets into a tiff with a coach or a coordinator and he still plays?
A Pro Bowling starter.
Get into it with Josh McDaniels in 2018 on the sidelines in Buffalo and still played? So what the hell is the difference between Brady and freaking Malcolm Butler, who, by the way, played 97%, if not more, of the defensive snaps the entire 2017 season?
Yep. That's,
God.
My God. I don't know. That was by far, like, that was right there, the biggest, like, magnifying glass that we could all just see how big Bill Belichick's ego is, how huge, just like he is, like, and Tom was freaking pissed about that, because here's the thing, Tom Brady in that game, especially after the game, I'd be extra pissed, because in that game he threw for 500 yards. Everyone's like, well, the final interception. I don't care, dude. 500 yards is 500 yards.
Exactly.
If my quarterback is throwing for 500 yards and putting up like almost 40 points on the board, and you still lose, and you're the defensive coach, you ain't a defensive coach then.
Got shredded by
Nick Foles.
By Nick effing Foles.
My third stringer right now.
Like, and by the way, kudos to the most incompetent head coach in the NFC and Matt Nagy for starting Justin Fields.
God.
Kudos. Because, like, the fact that Nick Foles not Nick Foles, Andy Dalton got the starting nod over Justin Fields is like, huh?
Oh, in the beginning? In the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season when Andy Dalton got the starting job.
You should have just let him. Well, here's what I've said, and I said this in a video too, is that the Bears, we suck. We suck. Like, the tackles suck. The corners are young, but they're not very good yet. The receivers, we got like one that's good. So with that being said, just go throw Fields out there, win 4 or 5 games, let him get his feet wet and totally wet, like throw everything at him, give him the whole playbook, let him screw up a million times, and then next year draft as many offensive linemen as you can, a couple cornerbacks, maybe sign some guys, give him some weapons to work with, and then say, all right, Fields, this is your year, man. This is it. This is where you prove it. This year was a freaking mess. Just a mess. I agree with you 100%. This was completely bobbled and fumbled this whole year. And I have to blame Matt Nagy and a little bit Ryan Pace too. But yeah, going back to the Patriots though, Bill Belichick showed me in that Super Bowl, in the Eagles Super Bowl that we were just talking about, that he has this huge ego, and that he is willing to, and that if you even talk back to a guy, like even if you're a Pro Bowler, if you're a top 3 player on his team, one of the best players on his team, if you talk back to one of his coaches, then see, this is the problem with his old school mentality. He's that Jurassic mindset is going to get him kicked out of the league. That's just a fact because these are grown men.
Add to that point right here, right now, because I know that winning masks a lot of deficiencies, especially in the NFL. That's a fact. But what I also will say is this. I think regardless of whether the Pats win tonight or not, is beyond the issue.
Yeah,
I'll be the first to tell you that it's time to begin to question, has the NFL passed by Bill Belichick? I'm going to bring that as a very interesting question I want to put out there. I want all of you.
It's funny though. It's funny because I was gonna ask you if you think that I mean, let's be honest, Shook. The league's a young man's league, man. It's a young man's league.
Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur.
Sean McVay, Brian Flores.
Yeah, it's a young man's league. You know what I mean? It's a young man's league now. Let's be honest. All these young coaches taking over and they're succeeding. I was gonna ask ask you, like, do you think do you think it's passed Bill over? Like, do you think it's his kind of coaching style? It won't work anymore.
I think it has. And I'm sure I am ready to set the internet ablaze this morning. If you didn't know who I was before, you're going to know who I am now. The answer to that question is yes. The league has passed him by. Because here's what's amazing to me. What we used to laugh at other teams' undoings is literally what we're doing now over the last year and a half.
Yep.
Literally.
Mm-hmm. Look at these stupid teams making all these stupid penalties and getting all these flags. Look at these stupid teams. We used to. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I feel you 100% on that.
Like, oh my God, look at the Rams. Stupid. Why would you call that here? We don't make that mistake. Bleh. Like, oh my gosh, that team is a bunch of morons. They don't know what they're doing. Look at the personnel decisions. Look what they're bringing onto the field. Oh my gosh, we should cakewalk over these guys. Blah. Like, really? We used to laugh at other teams for 20-something years. And look at us now.
You sign 90 million tight ends and don't use them.
Oh, we have tight ends, and we're not only that we're not going to use them, but we're going to say, we can still beat you. We can still kick your ass and not use our tight ends the entire game. Like, if that isn't the most snarly mentality to have, then I don't know what is. I still give Belichick a lot of credit. He is still a good defensive coach.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Can we be honest for a moment?
This GMing is bad.
GMing is horrible. And honestly, I'm really beginning to wonder.
So, Shook, get this, right? I did some like digging a little. Well, I did some like calculate, just looking back on the offseason acquisitions, right? Yeah. $101 million out of the 257 I think he spent. Yeah, 101. So that's like 50% of the money spent in the offseason was towards the offense, right? Mm-hmm. And to like improve it and make it better. And you spent $87.5 million on 2 tight ends, and you've thrown to them in 4 games 13 times. That's it. In 4 games, you've thrown to him 13 times.
Gross mismanagement of money. And you want to know what's amazing about that in particular? What's amazing about that is, think about this for a moment. The Patriots spend, as you mentioned, $87 million on 2 tight ends, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yet, and I do mean yet, even Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are not enough to eradicate the issues that they have on the offensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And what blows my mind is is that, and it's funny because I was talking about this this past week. Spending money in free agency doesn't guarantee anything. And I want to bring up an even bigger point now. If you remember the interview that Robert Kraft did, I believe it was with GQ back in March, and he talked about how he was willing to spend the money, but he was not happy.
Yes. He said
was
it
not
better.
happy with the
He
fact
said
that he
it
had
better
to
work.
spend.
He said it better work if I spend this money.
Because here's the thing. My thing became this. Hey, maybe if you had a more competent general manager that were better drafting, you wouldn't have to spend that amount of money. Period. If you want further proof around the NFL, I'm gonna make this case. I'm willing to go Buffalo. Look at what Buffalo did through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest one, drafting Josh Allen. And that dude is a stud. Like he may have gone to just a little bit
future
of
top 5 quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
future top 5.
He may have gone to a little bit of a slow start, but that's kind of like part of like the ups and downs of being a young quarterback in this league. But Josh Allen's a stud, no question. You look at what Kansas City did, drafting Patrick Mahomes, and then we'll look at what Andy Reid and the front office surrounded him with, like during his time while in Kansas City. Oh, also, Seattle, they had a tisk between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll said, hey, you know what? We're going to invest in you. We're going to invest into this team. It wasn't through free agency.
No, they
draft.
Do the draft.
But the Patriots, the smartest team in the room, Belichick, the self-proclaimed smartest guy out there, can't get the most basic fundamental aspect of football right. You need receivers to win. I mean, holy smokes. We've never spent that amount of money ever in any free agent year. Not even the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles, one of the colossal examples of what goes wrong when you spend a lot of money in free agents and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That is a prime example right there as to why the idea that the Patriots spending money was such a great thing is actually false. That tells me that your drafting has been bad. Look at your receivers. Look at your receivers. Look at your tight ends. Look at your offensive line. I'll give you some leeway, just some, because they got it right with David Andrews. They got it right with Trip Brown. They got it right with there's another one that just left. The Patriots.
Tooney left.
Yeah, Joe Tooney. Thank you. They got it right with those guys.
Matt Light
is another one.
Yeah,
Logan Mankins.
Yeah. Well, they let Mankins walk too.
He didn't have a choice.
I know.
But that was prior to the 2014 season, if I remember correctly. Like, he was left with absolutely no choice.
Yeah.
But again, that was
crazy
due to Belichick.
It always seems to come back to him. You know, it's always the culprit in these situations.
Well, let's be honest, right? With the Patriots, me and you know this. The Bucs stops with Bill. It's the Bucs stops with Bill. It's him.
That's going to change.
Maybe it has
to. If no one else in Boston sports radio is screaming that, I'm going to start screaming that this week. That's got to change. Bill has got too much power, and there's an old saying. There's an old saying that my folks, that my family members used to teach me. Pigs get fat. Hogs get slaughtered.
Hogs get yep.
Bill Belichick is that hog, and he is on his way somewhere in the meat factory. That is the NFL, on his way to getting slaughtered.
I love that analogy.
I want all of you who are watching and is going to be listening to this later on, or if you're listening to this now,
iHeartRadio,
put that on an effing bulletin board somewhere. Hogs get slaughtered, pigs get fat, and Bill Belichick is somewhere in the meat factory getting ready to get slaughtered. Especially if this team has another lackluster year, the way that things are trending right now and down in Foxborough.
Well, just you have to think about it, right? I think they spent $250 million in the offseason. And if they go under 500, Shook,
he's got to go.
That's a bad look.
That's not even off a debate.
That's a bad look.
So if they go under 500, you're saying I'm done with Bill Belichick.
He got to go.
Wow.
I know that he drafted Mac Jones, but can we stop acting like?
Can I throw one more? Can I throw one more kind of? So, is it Bill, or is it Josh McDaniels? So let me ask you this, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Did Brady make Josh McDaniels' job easy over the years? Because now that he actually has a rookie quarterback, he's actually got to work now. He's got to work at his job and actually be an offensive coordinator. Brady was like a coach in pads on the field,
Yeah.
Did Brady make Josh's job easy? And now he's like, oh shit, now I actually have to do my job and work at stuff now.
I think so, because as you mentioned, Brady was that coach, whereas I don't know if you guys heard about this or heard about this in the past, but during training camp, when Brady was here in New England, what he used to do is he used to quiz running backs and receivers.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As to if I call an audible and I change the play at the line of scrimmage and I'm running an in and out, what's your responsibility? He used to do things like that, just to see if they knew what their responsibilities were.
That made them look really good.
They don't have that no more. So now McDaniels has got to coach these guys, and as well as Belichick, he's actually got to put in the work. He's got to do a lot better in terms of trying to get these guys to understand the play, because I've always said this: veterans who come to New England have always historically struggled to do well, because it's a combination of factors: the system, the culture, and as well as the ability to be able to understand and apply the playbook, which is a very complicated playbook at that.
Oh, it's been proven. It's a fact that the Patriots have the most complex, not the most complex playbook, but what makes the Patriots offense and defense most complex is the at the line of scrimmage calls.
Mm-hmm.
If they audible out of something into a different play, everybody needs to be on the same page when they audible. And that's what gets these guys that come in, is they can't process that fast.
And that's part of the issue. And I don't blame the players, and here's why. The reason is because if you watched them before they even came to New England, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They knew what their responsibility was on a given play. But now you're asking them to run that play, and oh, by the way, audible, kill.
Yeah.
And you're expecting them to wait, what are we doing? Are we running a 3 receiver, 1 tight end set? Are we running a 2 receiver, 2 tight end? What are we? It is just exhausting, just even thinking about it and talking about it. But you can only imagine when you have to actually go through that in warp speed. Yeah. Man, it's a tough adjustment. It really is.
What makes me think about everything that's going on with the Patriots is that with Tom Brady, you kind of alluded to it earlier. He quizzes people. He makes sure that everyone's in the right spot.
Yeah.
Now you got a rookie quarterback, so all of the meta game is gone. You have to coach the meta game now. You have to coach the meta, and it's not Mac Jones's fault. Mac Jones could be Trevor Lawrence. He could be the most talented guy in the draft. Doesn't matter. You still have to coach the meta game because he's 22 years old. So that I think that McDaniels and Belichick might have gotten a little bit too comfortable. They got a little bit too, And when Tom, and this is the thing with Tom, he just wanted to be this equal voice in the room. He wanted to walk in the room with Kraft and with McDaniels and with Belichick, and he wanted to be like, all right, what's up, guys? and be able to just talk with them. But Belichick kept trying to little bro him. Oh, no, you're a player. Get your pads on. Get in the locker room. Get out of here, man. Even though McDaniels is, 4 years older than him? And he treats McDaniels like he's the smartest guy in the world. I would argue that Tom Brady's probably a better offensive coordinator than Josh McDaniels is. And it's no disrespect to him because I know McDaniels had success with Orton and hey, what's up, Cat? With Orton and with a little bit with Tebow, not very much, and tons with Brady. But
well, look
Tom
at what Brady did
is-
with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians
Exactly.
tried to run that run and gun offense, and then Brady stuffed him in a locker and was
That's what I'm saying.
nope, we're going to run it this way.
do
And
whatever
that's
the
when
hell
they
I
took
want
off.
to do. And it works. The possession offense that they run now it's perfect. And they do have that over-the-top game, too, because they have the talent for it. So
Brady has everything that he ever wanted and needed in the Bucs.
he deserves this.
He was
does.
set up perfect when he went there. It was insert Tom Brady win Super Bowl. That's what it was down in Tampa.
But see, don't forget he had to go through growing pains. Because early on last season,
first 5 weeks for Tampa did not look good last year.
No, not at all. And I was saying that at the time, I'm beginning to wonder: is this coach-quarterback relationship salvageable? Can this work between Bruce Arians and his style of calling Brady out in the media, and Tom Brady being the player that he is? Because he never went through that before with Belichick. I mean, Spygate, yeah, maybe, but after a game, no. That you never experienced anything like that because that wasn't Belichick's style. So like I was really among those who were beginning to wonder: is this really a good fit? For Brady to go down to Tampa and work with Bruce Arians. But also in the back of my mind, I kept saying to myself, Brady left his ex-wife of 20 years.
Yeah.
He's now down in Tampa with the new girlfriend. You're gonna have early relationship clunkers.
Yeah.
The only way that relationship's gonna work is if you work through those clunkers, and that's it. And he ultimately did. And now guess what? He's got a ring.
Yeah, he's got a ring to show for it. Well, and that's the thing. Brady is. We can't. I just wish people would stop trying. Like all the chat rooms. Everyone sounds so stupid when they try to throw rocks at the throne and try to denigrate what Brady has accomplished.
Yeah,
this is incredible, man. He's got 3 rings more than the next best guy. He's got one more ring.
Actually, he's got one more ring more than the next franchise.
Franchise.
Well, just
unreal.
So to me, the crowning moment was the 28-3. It's like, dude,
that was
the guy scored. Moment. The guy scored 25 points in 18 minutes. And orchestrated the greatest. There was no argument after that. There was no argument.
Yeah,
no matter what argument you ever came up with, and then he leaves the franchise. He leaves the Patriots. He goes through a pandemic offseason, right? Pandemic offseason. You don't get to do half the stuff you're supposed to do in a regular offseason, right?
He does it anyway.
He was on a high school field.
Yeah, he does it anyway.
So you don't get to do half the stuff you do in a regular offseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into a brand new team, the losingest franchise in NFL history, and tells them
unreal.
And leads them to a freaking Super Bowl. And not only that, right? So not only does he win the Super Bowl, but he beats 3 Super Bowl teams on the way to the championship.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and who else?
There's any argument that you can come up with that he's not the GOAT is invalid.
Yeah.
Silly.
7 for 10 in the Super Bowls. And 7 for 10.
And he could easily have 10. And he could easily have 10.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the 2 Giants ones because they hurt my soul.
Oh, no. I got one better, actually. 2006 AFC Championship. If we don't collapse and blow that 21-3 lead.
The Broncos?
No, 2006. This is against Indy. Peyton Manning's first
Super Bowl win.
Oh.
It'll probably be the Bears, too.
I swear, Pat, your reaction is literally the microcosm of a Patriots nation when it comes to that season. We really forget that AFC title game, I think, was the worst loss of the dynasty by far. and by far in terms of championship play, and here's why: you're up 21-3. You've owned Peyton Manning. And by the way, for the younger audience watching, this is when Peyton Manning was at the peak of his powers.
He was ridiculous.
Yeah, this was peak Brady. This was peak Brady
with Tony Dungy.
Peyton. Yeah,
this is the greatest.
We're up 21-3. And that fourth and one.
That fourth and one.
Oh my!
The 4th and 1. Oh,
I just want to take my hat off and freaking throw this shit. Like, just thinking about, oh my. I'm sorry.
It happened more than once too against the Colts too. That's the thing. It happened like 3-4 years after that too. But that one was the most notorious. That was just like the shit.
I gotta find my hat.
Belichick, yeah, he's been known to do that though. Like this isn't the first time Belichick did that. And I mean, it is what it is.
Oh man, like I have to get my hat. Like that just gave me a bad flashback. Very bad flashback. Yeah. Like,
me too. That Super Bowl was painful. That whole Super Bowl was painful. I mean,
listen, Super Bowl 41. Oh my gosh. I still remember to this day the greatest kick returner that the world has ever seen, Devin Hester.
Hall of Famer.
Surefire Hall of Famer.
Let's go.
And my first thought was during kickoff, because I remember it was Vinatieri who was with Indy at this point.
Yeah,
you have one job: don't kick it to Devin Hester. Kick it to the end zone.
Literally, do not kick this football
to the end zone for a touchback. That's all you got to do. No problem. Devin Hester catches it, and my mind says, "No." Once he got past that first layer of blocks,
we all knew what he was doing.
I'm like, nah, he's gone. He's gone. And I'm just like, if the Colts lose the Super Bowl, I'm gonna point back to this moment. You morons did not go to scout this week. What the hell were you thinking?
They didn't punt. They didn't punt to him the whole game though. They were just like, never mind, we're not doing that. Never mind.
He ran that one back, and they were like, okay, yeah, maybe we shouldn't kick to this guy,
dude. Like he was one of the only guys for real. They were just like, never mind, screw that. He's too fast. He was one of the only guys ever. Like Deion Sanders is another one, and Josh Cribbs. But like for like a good 5-year window, people wouldn't even like. People are like, well, he only had like this many touchdowns. It wasn't that much more than Deion Sanders, you know. But it's like, dude, people wouldn't kick to him for 4 years. It's like what were you gonna say?
The year that he set the record.
Yeah.
Oh God, he was incredible. He had like 8 or something, 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was like if you're gonna kick to him at your own peril.
Yeah,
and I remember this one instance. I remember correctly. I think it was like he had 102-yard like kickoff return, like something along something that.
No, I think it was 105. I think it was 105.
That was the one I was alluding to.
It was 105. Yeah, 105-yard kickoff return.
It was like everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong in terms of just if you went back and watched that clip on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the way that the special teams literally broke down for the kicking team, like, oh, we're gonna get this guy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You can't get him; he's too fast.
The craziest part about that year when he broke the record for most kickoff returns was he was at like 4 for the season, and they were still kicking
to him.
Then the next year, people were just like, nope, not anymore. And then, like, I remember they did like twice, and he got 2 touchdowns.
One of the coaches was mic'd up, and he said, "I'd rather kick it out of bounds and take it at the 40 than kick to the guy."
Yeah.
Well, and that's just a testament to how freaking terrible the Bears' offense was. We had the ball at the 40 like half the time, and we still sucked.
Rex Grossman and having freaking Jay Cutler as your quarterback will do that to you. I'm sorry.
Well, if we had Jay Cutler during the Super Bowl, like that Hester Super Bowl time, we might have actually had a better chance. But when we had Jay as like our premier guy, when he was relied upon, he wasn't that good.
Oh, he
wasn't.
He left. Listen, he left Picard's faster than you can say hello. Like, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Picard's is a legendary Chicago deep dish pizza spot in Chicago that I strongly recommend go check out if you ever been to Chicago.
You know, he gets a lot of love down there, believe it or not.
Why? Why?
He does. He gets interviews. He goes to bars. People buy him drink. No, he gets a lot of love in Chicago. You'd be shocked how much love Jay Cutler gets.
That contract and how disappointing he was in big moments.
He's technically the best quarterback we've ever had. So it's like our self-esteem is so low. It's like the abusive girlfriend and stuff like, well, she was still the prettiest girl that we ever had. It's like, holy shit, dude, we're so bad. We're like a battered wife.
Unbelievable. Like the Bears could get linebacker right. Khalil Mack. I mean, that still is one hell of a trade that they pull up with the then Oakland Raiders, now the Las Vegas Raiders. They can get who else? Yeah, I mentioned linebacker Mike Singletary. Did Bucs
Roquan
get
Smith
that right? Like
great draft pick.
Yeah, Mike Singletary. Yeah, but they can't get the quarterback right, and that
never can.
And let's be honest, right?
Fields is the guy.
We all know.
I think
the most important position on the field is the quarterback.
Oh yeah, it's so important.
He could be replaced. No big deal. Okay,
unless you're Trent Dilfer, and you have the 04 Bucs defense.
Oh God.
Really quick, I just want to say something about Matt Nagy and Justin Fields. Then I'll shut up about it. But like,
no.
The thing I want to say about it is like, what Matt Nagy pisses me off about it is like, we can't be afraid to fail. Okay, like Justin Fields, we can't just be petrified. Like every time he makes a mistake, like you're being way too conservative right now. Throw him out there. Like he's already out there now, so just leave him out there. Just let him get eaten up a million times. If he gets hurt, hopefully not. He doesn't get hurt. But like if he gets hurt, then you put in the backup. But just let him just trial by fire, dude. If we win 4 games, who cares? Next year he'll have like Peyton. People forget, man. Peyton Manning sucked his rookie year. People were calling him a bust, and then he goes on to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So let him suck. Let him fail. Let him get some chemistry with some guys. Let him feel it out and tell the coach what he likes and build the offense around Fields. I don't want the Fields to be building the offense around Nagy. Screw Nagy. He's expendable. I don't care about Nagy. Sorry, I just dropped something. I don't care about Nagy. I don't care about him. I care about Justin Fields. That was one of the greatest draft picks we've ever had, in my opinion, as far as potential. So we need to do that. We really do.
Listen, it is going to be something to watch. Justin Fields. I'm like, listen, you got to get rid of Matt Nagy, because I will tell you this now, and I love that. Love that. That will be me later today at Gillette Stadium, pissing on a Buccaneers flag. Like, hey, thank you for taking our leftovers.
Thanks for taking leftovers.
You desperate scraps of heel. You took our leftovers. You got yourself some ring. Congratulations. Congrats.
Oh man.
But back to the point I was making. This is why the head coach in the NFL and the quarterback marriage is so effing important. There's a reason why it is everything. And if I'm the Chicago Bears, I'm letting Matt Nagy go. Get someone who's offensive minded. Get someone who can work with the quarterback. And someone like Frank Reich would have been perfect to work with Justin Fields. But by the way,
can I throw an interesting name out? I think Chicago should go after Kellen Moore from the Cowboys.
I got another one, but let's talk about that first.
The offensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
He's a little young for me.
Colin plays for Dak.
I like the play calling, but I don't know how much of a coach he can be.
No. I'm not saying coach. I'm saying offensive coordinator.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
simply offensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
No head coach. Just have Kellen Moore call the plays.
I was like,
give him the key to the city.
No. I don't want him as a head coach. I'm saying Kellen Moore to call the offensive plays for the Bears.
Gotcha.
I got another one floating for you.
Go ahead, JD.
Jim Harbaugh.
You think you're going to be able to prime away from college at this point in the stage?
They hate him. Michigan keeps talking crap about him.
Michigan is a perennial disappointment.
Well,
they brought him to recruit, and they can't even win 10 games a year.
He's had more success in the NFL than in college. So come back to your old team and finish what you started here. Because Jim Harbaugh, he was actually really, I'm pretty sure he got like a serious injury. He was maybe one of our best quarterbacks. Then he got hurt and he bounced around the league. Had to move on from him. but he can come back, be that screaming, get in everyone's face and stuff, yell at the defense, and then calmly, nice to talk to Justin. Hey, Justin, how's it going, buddy? I loved when he did that. It was the best thing. He'd be in the 49ers, be throwing shit, and he'd walk over to Alex Smith. Hey, Alex, how you doing? Hey, Colin, what's up, buddy? I loved that. That demeanor, I love that in a head coach. He's got so much like alpha in him. So I would love Jim Harbaugh. I thought about it a lot.
All right, so before we move on to some baseball, and me and Shook bust the boxing gloves out and probably fight each other on this one.
I'm ready. This is the day for it to happen.
But so like closing arguments for tonight, man. It's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a war tonight. It's gonna be like,
I hope it's a close game.
Dude, with the injuries to the Bucs defense and their corners and stuff like that, and then you take Gronkowski out, the safety blanket for Brady. My hope for tonight is I want to see the Pats compete. I don't want to see them get their doors blown off. Because, Shook, let's be honest. If they get their doors blown off of them, the media is going to eat that young kid alive. They're gonna be all these narratives. All these narratives are gonna come out that are just gonna be like hollow, and they're just like, I don't want to listen to Boston media if they get their doors blown off, because it's gonna be like that for 2 weeks straight.
Oh God, yeah. Like, and this is not the fault of Mac Jones, which is why I mentioned on yesterday's radio program here in Boston that Mac Jones is not your problem. And I mean that he really is not your problem at all right now. Your problem, your offensive line sucks, your running game is atrocious, and your defense, which was supposed to be the strength of this team this year, you brought back Kyle Van Noy, and as well as Dante Hightower came back after opting out of the 2020 season. They've been disappointments.
Harry Houdini, otherwise known as Dante Hightower.
Just real quick, your best defensive player so far through the first 3 weeks, you can make a case that it's Matt Judon and J.C. Jackson. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, it's definitely Judon. It's Judon and Judon for sure. He's made the biggest influence on the field for defense.
And by the way, like it says, Chicago 1190 says Eric Bieniemy. The fact that Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet makes me fucking
I'd be okay
mad.
with that in a
I'm
heartbeat.
sorry that I just cursed just now, but like seriously, it makes me mad.
Yeah,
that he's not a head coach yet, right?
It's atrocious.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. There's a lot of people like, I agree with you. No, there's a lot of positions I was like, why did Bieniemy go there? That's strange as hell. So I don't know what's up with these NFL owners.
Put Bieniemy on the Jags.
Oh no.
I mean, I feel like that's a setup for failure for him.
That's a setup for disaster. Nope.
But I mean, if he had everything around him, if he had Urban Meyer type of power, maybe he could. I don't know. I've never seen Bieniemy be a head coach. I know he's a good coordinator, though. That's the thing. You're a good coordinator, I want to see what you can do as a coach. What's that?
Great, not good.
Great. Exactly.
No, Bieniemy is a offensive champion. The guy's a genius.
Yeah, he's a champion. I mean, there's no question. He's a great player or a great coordinator, no question. So I'd love to see him as a coach. And we've seen Matt Nagy as a coach. So hey, I'll trade another Andy Reid guy I'll swap him. I don't give a crap. I'm gonna give Matt Nagy back to KC.
I mean, listen. Going back to the Patriots of tonight's game, I think that it is going to be. I just hope it's a competitive game. Like, that's all you can ask for, because I absolutely would hate, and I'm going to emphasize this, I would hate that it's 35-10, and all it is just a massive Brady Schnoozer massage. And by Schnoozer, you fellas know what I mean. You all can figure that out what I mean. I'm keeping it PG throughout the entire NBC broadcast, because I'm going to get annoyed and I'm going to tweet about it. Like, why are we massaging Brady's ego? Like, his TB12 method has worked quite well, and hear Chris Collinsworth's voice like, Tom Brady has found a way to keep his success going in Tampa Bay after leaving New England. And Bruce Arians, the head coach, we talked with him this week, and it's been nothing but praise for. I don't want to hear that.
So here's a guy who really takes care of himself.
Can we agree that Collinsworth is probably the most annoying person on sports right now?
Replace him.
No. It used to be Pierre Maguire, but no.
I used to hate Phil Simms, and nothing against him personally, but just
but as a broadcaster, we used to be paired with Jim Nantz.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wanted to go to sleep. I literally wanted to sleep when they were talking. I was like, you're like my grandpa. Like, I don't want to listen to you. I'm sorry. And yeah, Tony Romo is 10 times better. It's crazy. He's like, oh, let's go. Jim. He's just so excited about everything. So I like that a little bit better. Chris Collinsworth, he's not that bad. He's just like all the idioms he has. Like, here's a guy, and he's he's so predictable. But yeah, as far as tonight though, I'll give my final take on it. Sorry. Here's what I'll say. I got the Bucs. I think that the Gronk injury, I think that if he was 150%, he'd be here. But if he's 98%, he's not here. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't want to come back to Gillette. He's not interested in coming back to Gillette.
I think he knows the reception. He knows the reception he's going to get
because of the way
his ass is going to get booed like mercilessly for the way he left.
So let's talk about that really quick before we move on to anything else. I just want to, and then I'll talk about the Bucs really quick. But like Gronk, when he left, so here's his mentality. He wanted to be Brady's tight end from the tight he started to the day he retired. He realized that like shortly after his career started. That's his mentality. So he's banged up. He's kind of like, he's barely making it through training camp. And he hears rumors that Bill Belichick wants to trade him to the Detroit Lions. Okay, the Detroit Lions. And so he's like, dude, you, man. Like, I've been a beast for you. I've won you 4 Super Bowls, or no, 3. I've helped you win 3 Super Bowls, and I was injured 1. But okay, so 2 Super Bowls at least. You got to give me some more respect than that. That's some crap. So I agree. Like, you should at least, if you're Gronkowski, and also not to mention, Gronkowski has also taken pay cuts. Gronkowski in the open market could have made probably double than what he made at the Patriots. Yeah. So that's why I understand why Gronkowski was just like, F you guys. I don't need you guys. But at the same time, I do understand why Patriots fans were like, man, you shafted the crap out of us. Because they see it like you screwed the fan base, and he sees it like I screwed Bill Belichick. You know what I mean? Like so that's where I kind of like see Gronk. But I think that if he was there, it'd be a lot worse for the Patriots. I think the Patriots have a much better chance now to compete in this game because Gronk is not there. What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's definitely some truth to that. But I will also say that the Buccaneers are still going to be like very dangerous, regardless whether like Gronk is in the game or not. So yeah, it kind of like lessens the blow just a little bit, but not by much. Especially like we know how Brady is in these big games and these big matchups, and that for me is like,
he's amazing. I mean, he knows when to lock in, and he's going to be. I think the Patriots will be a little bit extra emotional too. This will be a very emotional game. I'm going to be watching every minute of it. I'm excited because this is going to be an emotional game. I think a lot of the defensive guys are going to be like, man, we played you in practice for you. Well, how many of them are still like, what is it, like 4 or 5 of them are still kind of from that Super Bowl era with Brady? Maybe like 6.
Is the not right between 4 and 6? Yeah.
4 and 6, yeah, something like that. So those guys are going to be extra fired up. They're like, man, we saw you in practice for years. We won a Super Bowl together. You left us, even though there may be, I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch. That's all I can say.
Sure.
It'll be interesting.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what else do you think about this game?
I think also it's going to also come down to the battle of the secondaries.
I agree.
Remember, the Bucs they signed Richard Seymour this past week, so I think it's going to be interesting to see like how both secondaries fare in this game, and I want to see like how Richard Seymour does. I think he's playing tonight. Is he right?
Richard Sherman? Yeah, he's.
Is he
is he going to play? Let me check actually. Patriots on the mind, right? Richard Sherman. Status tonight.
Sherman's playing today.
Yes,
he's
playing. He's playing.
So he's playing today. So that's going to be another element that he's going to have to. Oh, when I say he, I'm talking about Matt Jones is going to have to contend with. Like, so that's going to be something that I think is going to be really interesting.
So he's third in the depth chart.
He's third.
Mm.
Evans, Godwin, Brown versus Aguilar, Bourne, and Jacoby Myers. Tight end is a wild card for both teams. Running back is even to me. No, it's not. Running back advantage, Buccaneers.
I would give them the advantage because I think the offensive line is better. I like Tristan Wirfs.
That makes a world of a difference.
That's the difference.
Yeah. JD, go ask Ezekiel Elliott in Dallas. What a good offensive line does for a running back.
Man, yeah, exactly. And that's now they want to scat back because they don't have enough space for Zeke. Yeah, now they want what's his name? Pollard, because he doesn't have enough space. And he wanted a guy who can get that 3 or 4 yards, and Zeke wants to go home run ball. Yeah, it's not working out for well, it is because Dak's doing well. It is because Dak's a good player. If he wasn't good, that would be a disaster.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, apologize for the interruption, guys. I opened my fridge this morning, right? And I was like, hey, that's a couple hot wings right there. Those are pretty good, right? So I ate those 2 hot wings. I was just like, chomp, chomp, munch them down. And then I drank a large Dunk's iced coffee, and I was like 15, 20 minutes later, I was like, my stomach had to tell me, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't have done that.
10 seconds.
I'm telling you, you had the bubble guts.
Oh man, yeah, that
half hour into the show, my stomach was like, "That's a bad idea. You shouldn't have done that."
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking, but that was that. But we were supposed to live a life full of bad ideas, Man,
I could probably do that when I was 21, but now I don't know about that.
Oh god.
So Shook, let's jump into some baseball, man.
Yes.
Into the MLB. Let's take it, but let's go rewind a little bit to the Red Sox and Yankees series, right? When they played each other. I went into that series saying that whoever, this series is going to play a massive role in what happens in the postseason. This series could mean someone gets in or someone is left on the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out that there was a lot of weight, going into that series. The Yankees ended up absolutely just taking care of business and sweeping the Sox. And they did it. They did it on the heels of once again the Sox bullpen just lets them down. The perfect example was the Sunday night, the final game. It was a really good game into the 7th inning, and then Garrett Richards takes the mound, and it just falls apart at the seams. I just want to get your thoughts on that. That's because I think the Yankees through that series, just little by little, man, have been building momentum headed into the. Don't you scratch my green screen. They were just building throughout that series, just building momentum into the postseason. It was for them to sweep the Sox was massive.
No question. And it was. And at the time, I was thinking, well, Lisa looks like that we're going to be the ones that's going to be hosting the American League wildcard game. But I'm not going to talk smack, and I was I was planning to, but I'm not going to at all, actually, because we haven't had a day like this, and I want all of you who are watching and listening to really think about this with me for a moment. Yes, Chris Sale is in fact starting today. That's not I guess that's a fact. He is in fact starting today, and a must win. We have not had a day like this to end the regular season since September 28th, 2011.
Yeah.
If you all remember that fateful final day of the 2011 Major League Baseball regular season, the best night in baseball history, bar none, this is it. This is it here. There's a reason why all of the games today are starting at 3:00. There's a reason why the Red Sox game is starting at 3, the Yankee game is starting at 3. So, in all honesty, I will be watching both games at the same time while I'm at the tailgate.
Yeah.
I'll be down at Gillette in just a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I tailgating before the game.
True fan.
And like, as it pertains to the Yankees Red Sox series last weekend, I feel like now it means something, but it doesn't mean as much a week later because so much has changed over the course of the past 3 days alone. I could have said a lot has changed over the past week, yeah, but just these three days alone, a lot has changed. And now, here we are. If all things fall into place, we could be looking at a 4-way tie.
Yeah.
The Mariners won last night.
Yeah.
So that's a very real possibility. And ladies and gentlemen,
Crazy.
we have never seen anything like this in baseball history. We have not.
150 years.
It literally comes down to one night,
One
like
day,
tonight.
No, one afternoon where all this is exactly why Major League Baseball said we're going to start all the games at the same time today, 3:10.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on MLB.com and you look at the time for the first pitch for all the games today, the regular season finale,
3 p.m.
This is it, 3:10.
Yeah.
That is the reason why. So if you're going to be flipping between NFL and flipping between Red Zone and MLB Network, and if you're here in New England, locally in Boston or across New England, watching on Nesson for all of my folks back in New York, if you're watching the Yankees on Yes Network, you're going to be basically channel surfing because it actually matters. Yeah, there is no tomorrow for regular season unless it's a tiebreaker.
I know I'm going to be going. I'm going to have Nesson, the pregame for the Pats, and the Yes Network just on standby, just going back and forth between all of them.
I'll be watching.
Yeah, like it's literally must-see TV. This is when baseball is at its absolute best, when it's drama like this.
Yeah.
Like, I want to put this and make this abundantly clear. If you did not appreciate what we saw in 2011 on that final day, September 28th, 2011, you're going to appreciate today. Mark my words. You're going to appreciate today. If you didn't appreciate it back then, and that was back when there was only one wild card. This was the last year of the one wild card, because the 2 wild card system in both leagues, in the American League and the National League, started the following year.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It really is. It's amazing. And it goes to show that baseball is learning from their mistakes and learning to evolve and stuff and keep things interesting. So that's good. Good for baseball. I mean, I know that during the late steroid era, mid 2000s, I was very much into baseball. A lot of people like me were into baseball. Now the game's changed. It's still interesting, but you got to suck us back in. You know what I mean? But I mean, I this is interesting though. This is a very interesting day. I'll be watching, and I'm not even a team of any. I'm a Cubs fan, so we're out of it. But I'll still be watching.
You won your World Series in 2016, so
we got it.
And Greg or John, man, I'm rooting for the 4-way tie, and I'm a diehard Yankee fan. And as you guys, if you guys follow me on Twitter or at Shukri Wrights, like that's not a secret. I'm a diehard passionate Yankee fan, lifelong Yankee fan. I'm actually rooting for a 4-way tie. Give me chaos. I want chaos.
The 4-way tie would be
It'd be Yankees, Red Sox, Seattle, and Toronto.
They all win, right? Everybody wins, right?
No. If the Yankees and Red Sox win, they wrap up.
They're done, right? So yeah, they wrap it up.
So if Yankees, Red Sox lose, Seattle and Toronto win,
it's a 4-way. It's a 4-way tie. Yeah.
That is. Let's see again. We have not seen this in baseball history ever. The last tie-breaking game that we had was give me a moment to jog my memory, was actually one of the most memorable games in baseball history. And if you remember the Padres-Rockies game in 2007, game 163 for the wild card, that was the tiebreaker.
If we do get a four-way tie, that's going to be chaos.
And also, by the way, I just remembered 2008 Twins White Sox. There was a game 163 in Chicago for the American League Central. And also another memorable game. But a four-way tie, we have never had anything like this. Never.
It was wild. And I'm rooting for it too.
And by 8 o'clock tonight, we could be talking about a four-way tie.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, baseball universe will be exploding with absolute, oh my God, this is happening. Oh yeah.
We're gonna get. So let's talk the Yanks. Let's talk the Yanks and the Sox. If they do win and wrap up, and it's a done deal, and we're playing each other for the in the wild card, I assume Boston would be hosting.
Yes,
right?
they would.
They would be hosting, right?
Now,
would the Yankees throw Garrett Cole in that game, or who would go for them? Because the Sox have announced, the Sox have already said it would be Nate Eovaldi. They would pitch Eovaldi. It would have to
be Garrett Cole. It'd have to be Garrett Cole, no question in my mind. I mean, I don't see them. Hold on, I don't see them starting Garrett Cole today. Like, there's no freaking way. Like, I get that, yeah, you have to win, but again, if the Yankees lose today, their season's not over.
Yeah, like, no doubt. And neither with the Sox. If they lose, it's not over. They can still play another game.
At the very worst, it's a tie. You're going to the tiebreaker.
Yeah,
for the Yankees, that is. I'm talking about specifically. So
right.
So with that being said, they're not completely screwed, but I just also want to make this point real quick as an important piece. This is not a side note, because this is an important piece here. We can't talk about the chaos with the American League wild card without talking about what's going on in the National League West.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, when the hell was the last time that we've seen the Giants and the Dodgers separated by one game going into today's final day of the regular season?
Yeah.
And by the way, the Dodgers, they won 106 games?
Yeah.
And the Giants have won 106 games. The Dodgers have won I
think 103.
Something like that. But I'm actually going to double check the standings right now just to make sure I get my facts.
No, 105. I think the Dodgers have. I think.
In fact, I'm going to tell you that right now. Just bear with me. But anyway, in terms of the Giants and the Dodgers, they're separated by one game. They both have won more than 104 games. Imagine if both teams, if they end up with a tie.
Yeah.
A four-way tie in the American League wild card and a tie for the NL West. Dude.
I know.
Tomorrow, I'm canceling all plans. I'm not leaving my house. I'm watching every single baseball game there is to be watched. Can you have imagine? To, right? By the way, Dodgers have won 105 and the Giants have won 106 games.
Yeah.
And here's what's scary. Thank you, Cab's family. I'm not sure what your name is, but I just want to give you a quick shout out. But imagine the following. You are the Giants. You lose today. The Dodgers win today. And guess who awaits you? The scariest team in baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals.
The Cardinals, who have won 17 in a row.
17 in a row. And although that winning streak was snapped on Friday night, they still continue to win. But that team is effing scary.
Dude, the Cardinals right now are white hot. Like
not red hot now, completely white hot. If you are the Dodgers or the Giants, you do not want to face the Cardinals. That's the team you do not want to face, because guess what?
I don't think anybody in the West wants to face them now. They're like, dude, They're ridiculous.
It's insane and it's scary when you talk about how one team, the Giants or the Dodgers, if either team ends up in a wild card game, their season could be done.
Yeah.
Imagine
the
when
Cardinals could finish off one of those teams. Think about that.
Imagine you win 107 or 106 games and your season's done in one game in a wild card game. Just imagine. This could actually be worse than the 1993 San Francisco Giants where they won 103 games and still missed the playoffs on the final day of the 1993 regular season.
What? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Atlanta Braves, they were International League West at the time. This is before
over 100 games and you missed the playoffs.
That was that Greg Maddux team. That was the team that was stacked, right?
The Braves. Oh yeah,
that was that Greg Maddux. What's that whole? Yeah, that was Greg Maddux and John Smoltz.
Tom Glavine. The big three. That was the first year of the big three.
They mowed through that whole league, and then they got bounced.
No, false. They didn't mow through. No, they were down by 10. I think like 10 games. If I remember correctly, in '93, and Barry Bonds went into the clubhouse at the All-Star game and told one of the Braves All-Stars saying, "You're not going to catch us." They went out and they got Fred McGriff at the trade deadline. And for all of you baseball fans from the 90s, like myself, you remember who Fred McGriff was, and that was a bad man just at the beginning of the steroid era.
Yeah.
Like
McGriff was a beast.
Like he was. Yeah, he really was.
Oh, like, dude, he's
a good player.
Dude, he'd hit home runs that like would take minutes to land.
Yeah, at all freaking Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta. Like they get him and the Braves catch fire, literally.
Fred McGriff, man, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Like during the final weekend of the season, Giants are in Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. The Braves, I don't remember who they're playing at home, but they were playing at home. They won their game. The Giants lost. They're playing out west. Man, it would be a shame that the Giants or the Dodgers season came to an end after losing, if they were to lose to the Cardinals in the wild card game.
The Cardinals could do that too. They are that like dude, momentum is a scary thing.
In baseball, it's everything. It's
a scary thing.
Go back to the 2011 Cardinals. I'm serious.
I hate to bring it up, but the 04
the 04 Red Sox.
The Red Sox in 04.
Yeah. Them too, the 04 Red Sox, but
after they beat I said this, as soon as they beat the Yankees in that 04 run.
LCS, yeah.
I was like, that's it. No other team is going to even challenge. Like, that was their challenge. That was their Mount Everest. They had to get there and beat that team and prove that to get that curse off their backs.
Absolutely.
You know. And when they beat the Yankees, I was like, that's it, man. They're winning this. They are winning all this because that was the team that was gonna push them to their limit and possibly knock them out. And they got rid of them.
And this is why, like, also to your point about 04, that momentum is everything.
Everything.
But if you're talking about and Greg or John, I want to address his comment real quick. 105 wins for a wildcard team in your season could be done in one game. Yeah.
Yep.
That is the reality that's facing either the Giants or the Dodgers. Giants have won 106 games coming into today. The Dodgers have won 105. And if either one of those two teams were to fall into the wildcard game and they lose to the Cardinals, I don't know, man. That's a pill that's extremely tough to swallow, especially for the Dodgers being the defending world champions at that.
Well, and also if the Cardinals can knock one of those teams out, what competition's left for them?
There's no real competition left.
That's what I mean. That's their biggest. If they can knock out one of the Giants or the Dodgers, I mean that the West would be the NL would be wide open.
Yeah, but like, oh man, but going back to momentum in baseball, why it's so critical. And I keep mentioning about the 2011 Cardinals because
Yeah.
Their run started not in October. Their run started at the end of August or the beginning of September of that year.
Yeah.
I vividly remember they were 10.5 games out of the wild card. This is when there was only one wild card per league.
Yeah.
This is a year before they went to 2 wild cards in both leagues, in American League and National League. They were 10.5 games out. Atlanta was a team that was in that held the comfortable spot for the wild card. And the thing that I remember most is that the Cardinals just kept chipping away.
Yep.
They kept chipping and they kept coming. They kept coming. And Atlanta got cold. They got absolutely cold. And then that final day of the season, Chris Carpenter pitches that complete game against the Astros. This is when the Astros were still in the National League, ladies and gentlemen. And then they went into the clubhouse. They're waiting for the Atlanta Phillies game because the Phillies won 102 games that year in 2011. They were the prohibitive favorite. They were the prohibitive favorite to get to the World Series again in the National League that year.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was when they had the late Hall of Famer Roy Halladay.
Yep.
Cliff Lee, who was at the top of his game at the time, and Roy Oswalt.
Yeah.
But St. Louis said, "Hi, I'm Chaos, and I've come to wreck your postseason party," and they did. Game 5, another complete game by Chris Carpenter over Roy Halladay, 1-0, a 1-0 win, complete game.
My name is Mayhem. Welcome to my world.
Mayhem from Allstate. I'm the.
That was a good one. Got the analogies, man.
Welcome to my world.
Oh, thank you. I'm Mayhem.
But it's so let's kind of dive into the playoff run this year, Shuk.
Yes.
I want to get your thoughts on the Yankees this year, because just like the Sox, man, it's been a freaking roller coaster. Both of our teams, man. It's been the Yankees started off just dead and flat and
putrid.
It was brutal. To like what the Sox second half of the season was after the deadline was what exactly the Yankees went through. We completely flip-flopped. For a while. The way it went like, and I remember even saying when the Yanks were playing like they were playing at the beginning of the year, I was like, you freaking watch. This is going to once again, it seems like both of our playoff lives always come back to like each other. It's why is it always got to be the Sox and Yanks at the end of the season just like bare knuckle fighting each other out for? It's always going to be like that, man. And I remember even like before the All-Star break, I was like, you freaking watch. This is going to end up being the Sox and Yanks at the end of the year again.
And lo and behold, you're right. Because again, best case scenario, both teams win. It's Yankees, Red Sox in the AL wild card. And I was telling someone last time at the Bruins game that I was at against the Rangers that if that happens, both cities are going to shut down on Tuesday. I'm serious. Boston is going to shut down. New York, that will be the talk of the city. Because I'm from New York, born and raised, for those of you that don't know. So I know when the Yankees are in October, but especially Yankees, Red Sox, there's nothing else to talk about. Nothing else matters. Not the Giants, not the Jets, not the Rangers, not the Brooklyn Nets. Hell, not even the New York Knicks. It's Yankees, Red Sox. The Yankees are the talk of the town. And if that's going to be the case, man, every baseball fan across the country is watching, because no other matchup draws like the Yankees Red Sox draw in October. Period. We're all old enough to remember 2003 and 2004, like back-to-back ALCS is like that. What's understood does not need to be explained. The
storyline between those 03 and 04 was just the way the Yankees did it in 03 to the Sox, and the way the Sox came right back the next year.
That was
it was.
We will never see that again.
I'll never forget that.
Never.
I am willing to put this on my grave, wherever that is. We will never see anything like that again. Not in our lifetime, at least. No way.
Like, not breaking a curse like that.
Like, no, not
in our lifetime.
Because like we're past like the curse era in baseball. Because at one point it was the Red Sox 86 years, the White Sox 88 years, the Cubs 108 years. That's all gone now. They've all won at least one title since.
Yeah.
We got our ring.
So like that's why I say that I genuinely believe, and I put this on my own grave, we are never going to see anything with the likes of 03 and 04 in baseball with the Yankees or Red Sox ever again. We're not going to, because both teams have won championships since.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees won in 09, obviously.
Yeah.
The Red Sox have won in 04, 07, 13, and 18. So both teams have won. So what made 03 and 04 so special was that the Red Sox, they were in the midst of their 85-year title drought in 03. The Yankees, we were still trying to get back to the World Series.
Yeah.
So winning the title for the first time since 2000. And
with A-Rod and all that.
Like, no, 03 was before A-Rod. 04 is when we got A-Rod in February of 04, which only added more fuel to the fire of the rivalry.
You got to win now.
Yeah, so which is why that I'm like, we're never going to see anything like that again. And in many ways, and I was talking about this with another Bruins fan at the game last night, who was also a Red Sox fan. I'm like, dude, we had it good, and we're not going to get that back. Yeah. We are not going to get that back. Yes, if they were to meet on Tuesday, it'd be phenomenal. It'd be great. But it's not going to be the same. The hatred is not going to be the same.
See, I was just going to – back in the day, bro, teams hate it. Like the Sox and Yankees, there was legitimate bad blood back in the day. There was legit bad blood.
Yes.
They hated each other.
Like, it's true, because I remember I grew up in New York going to old Yankee Stadium for Yankee games.
Yeah.
And it's not fallacy, but it's truth. Like, the old adage was, if you went to Yankee Stadium with outright Red Sox gear, you're getting pummeled. That's not a myth. That was truth.
Oh, no, straight fact.
That was old Yankee Stadium, like, back in 03, 04. Like, you could not walk there and get out alive.
Bro, they would flip Red Sox fans' cars on its side. Oh, dude, it was brutal. Dude, they would light Red Sox fans' cars on fire. Oh, it was a madhouse. And the same thing, dude. If in 03, from like the early 2000s, if you showed up at Red Sox Stadium in Yankee gear, you had a set on you, because that was I've heard that was a no-fly zone for those colors. That's awesome. It was the we all remember Zimmer down.
I love that.
The rivalries, they're still there. They are. They're still there, but they will never be as like deep rooted as they were back in the day.
Oh,
a lot of the fights you see now, it's like drunken people. It's not about the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna have like a Pedro and Kareem Garcia moment again. You're not gonna have a Pedro defending himself against the late Don Zimmer like ever again. Like, you're not gonna have bullpen fights between Jeff Nelson and Red Sox fans trying to be jackasses getting into the Yankee bullpen. Like, you're not gonna have that anymore. Like, it's changed.
Like, how many times did the Yanks and Red Sox charge? How many times did the Yanks and Red Sox charge the mound because they buzzed them under the chin?
Oh man,
you know, like benches were when you watched a Red Sox game in the early Red Sox Yankee game in the early 2000s, like from 98 to like 06, 08. Right?
That era.
From 98 to 08. The benches were going to clear at least once a game in one of those, in that series. Like, you knew it. You just knew. You didn't know when it was going to happen. You just knew it was going to happen.
It was just a matter of when, not if. When.
Yeah.
Do you guys think? Oh, never mind. I'll say that in a second.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, do you guys think maybe that Moneyball made the game less cultural and less like, for instance, let me give you an example. Like, during that era, everyone was so emotionally invested, like Yankees Red Sox, you know what I mean? Like, unless your name was Johnny Damon or something like that, did I say his name right? Yeah. Unless your name was him, then you don't give a just getting whoever pays the most. But like, besides him, everybody who was on the Red Sox, you were Red Sox for life. If you were on the Yankees, you're Yankees for life. nowadays with Moneyball, with people like the transactions being like very analytical, I think it's like players move around more, maybe. Not all the time, but maybe there's less invested in like, all right, I'm a Red Sox player now. What do you guys think about that?
I think
it would suck, huh?
I'm thinking long and hard about this. I don't think it was analytics that really drove a lot of people away. I think analytics is what really destroyed the sport from within. All it did is just like presents an ugly product on the field. Like,
well, yeah, because nothing's the eyeball test anymore. You know, perfect example, right?
True.
Last night, Tanner Houck pitching.
I saw
not a single base runner allowed through 5 innings, and Cora takes him out. Dude, you let that guy roll. Like, let him roll.
Yeah, instead of like following the formula, like.
I don't give a shit about
it blew my mind. Yeah, I didn't.
The guy was rolling. Let him pitch. Like
the soul of the game. It's
this, like momentum. Why are you gonna mess with the kids? Why are you gonna mess with the kid's mojo when he's got it rolling for you? And you get to save the bullpen. You know what I mean? You get to save the bullpen at the same time. You don't have to waste any. Just let the kid roll. And it's like
optimize the fun out of the game. That's a problem. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe that's not fun, but you know.
But that's a perfect example of what's like you said, dude. Like the analytics, it's like I'm old school baseball, dude. Like old school. I analytics and the way they manage it now is like it's destroying the game, man.
Like I openly declared war on analytics the day of Game 6 of the 2020 World Series. That ill-fated decision by Rays manager Kevin Cash to pull Blake Snell in that fateful 7th inning when he's rolling through that Dodger lineup and the Rays were down 3-2 in that World Series. That in itself is something I have not forgotten. I cannot get over. Like you make the decision based on analytics. I remember ripping him apart on the air last year at that time. Like
it becomes a cop out too.
Like it was a cop out. I'm like you moron. This is exactly what's wrong with baseball. You're so effing analytically driven now that you forgot to use your effing eyeballs to make sensible, logical managerial decisions. Like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Like pulling Tanner Houck after 5 perfect innings for what? For what? We're trying to save him from what? You're trying to save him for what? You have a game you're trying to win, and he's rolling.
You're in a must-win situation, and your pitcher is rolling, and you're gonna take no. You let that dude roll as long as he can.
I don't care what the numbers say. I don't care what the numbers say.
But that's another thing too. It's almost like they're afraid to go against the analytics. It's almost like they're afraid to go against them.
This is why they hide Chaim Bloom, because Chaim Bloom is the perfect scapegoat and the public face behind the true inner workings of that team. Analytics driven. We're not going to use our eyeballs. We're going to make our decisions based on analytics, and that's going to be that. Like what?
I think they're doing too much. You got to have I think you can have a hybrid. I think you can have an analytical type of idea, an analytical type of formula, but also, recognize the moments. You know what I mean? It's important to know. That's what a manager is for. Like your manager should have overwhelming ability to do that. Yeah. But Moneyball, it's like they neutered. Like I remember watching that movie. It's like they neutered the manager, and it's like if you neuter the manager, you're neutering the game too. So
exactly. And it becomes like why bother having a manager? Like
have the GM make calls.
You might as well be the GM and the manager. You cut out the middleman.
Exactly.
I mean,
all right. So closing arguments on the Sox and Yanks, man. We're in for a wild final game of the regular season, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. The postseason's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be interesting. I got a feeling we're gonna get Sox and Yanks again, and it's just gonna be. It's going to be a war of attrition, man. It's going to be a lot of fun to just Watch that unfold, man.
It's going to be absolutely chaos. And I'm rooting for chaos today. Like, I cannot wait. Like, I am just genuinely like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, as a baseball fan, this is exactly what all you can ask for.
This is what we need.
Well
This is what
said,
baseball
actually.
needs.
Like,
I like
baseball
it.
needs is kind of like this kind of drama. 'Cause this is when baseball is truly at its complete utter best. Like, this is where like you got fans in multiple cities that are invested. The Mariners, they are a story in its own right. They haven't made the playoffs since winning 116 games in 2001, which is the longest drought in all of professional sports. Which is, it's like I mean, goodness grief.
Yeah.
Like, what else can you possibly ask for if you're a baseball fan? Yankees, Red Sox, New York, Boston's going to be watching. New England's going to be watching. Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco. I mean, Toronto, they're going to be watching. It's going to be a great day for baseball, and I can't wait.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So let's go from the diamond to the ice, Shook, and talk some Bruins here real quick. And then I got a couple of questions for you at the end, just for fun. But we'll get to the Bruins. What'd you think of their offseason, man? What'd you think of how do you think the Bees handled the offseason this year? Because I'm telling you, dude, they are, and I think we as Bruins fans know this. They're running out of time with the core. They're running out of time with the core of that team to win another one. If they don't win it in the next 2 seasons, that Bergie Marchand, that Bergie Marchand pasta, that the core of that team is going to get broke. I have a feeling they're just going to get broken up if they don't win it in the next 2 years.
This year, because Bergeron is going to be a free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm telling Bruin fans now to prepare for the unexpected. And like the offseason, I like what they did. I like what they did in terms of adding Thomas Nosek, Derek Forbort, Nick Foligno, Eric Haula. Like, I like what I saw like a lot. And I mean, what happens at the second line center position, I think is ultimately, I want Jason Nickers to win the job, but I think it's going to be Charlie Coyle that ends up taking over that role, because it just looks like Jason Nickers is going to go down to Providence to get some more seasoning, and so forth. So like, I think the offseason, I give it like a B+.
Yep.
But the goaltending is really going to be the big concern for me, because like, we're about to find out just how good we may have had it with Tuukka Rask, given that he's going to be out until at least January, February, or the earliest, with the surgery that he had. So that's something that we're going to have to keep an eye out on for sure.
I definitely feel the same way. They did a pretty good job addressing some of the issues. There's still some that are definitely big question marks. The center depth is going to be a question mark, and the guys that they brought in have to perform, or they have to live up to their ceilings or their potential, or they're not gonna go anywhere. They have to. I'm sick of saying there's potential with this team. Like, how many times have we said there's potential here, and it never gets there. It never gets to where it needs to be.
Potential gets you fired.
Potential doesn't win you championships, and you're right, JD. It does get you fired.
Yeah,
but the Bruins are at a point now where I definitely think that they are at a crossroads, because the reality is this: it's like, it's not that this team is losing talent or like deteriorating, but with the core of Bergeron, Marchand, and just Tuukka now left. I mean, just Bergeron and Marchand are only 2 players left in terms of like the actual core group, not including goalies that were on that 2011 Cup team. I think that time is truly, when they have maybe a 10% window left. That other 90% is closed. So I definitely think that that they really got to try to get it done this season.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Well, so just for fun here at the end, I know I appreciate your time, man. I know we've taken up a lot of it. Thank you again for coming on. So just in fun. So before we let you go, so I want to know your favorite Patriots moment that you've seen, your favorite Bruins moment you've seen, and your favorite Yankee moment that you've got to see in sports, man.
Favorite Bruin moment for me. Wow. It's the Stanley Cup is up there in 2011. But yeah, I think that one, but a very close second is that Game 7 against Toronto in 2013, the comeback from 4-1 down. That one was special. That one was very special. Considering that at the time, like this was still what the Bruins were. They had great teams.
Yeah.
Like you still had that core with Chara, Boychuk, obviously with Bergeron, Krejci, Milan Lucic, Adam McQuaid, those guys, Chris Kelly, and like they still had a great team, as well as Nathan Horton was still on the team at the time. So that I have to say 2011. Patriots Super Bowl 51, no question. No question for me. That one is the ultimate moment. That one was the moment for me that I really enjoyed the most. Yankees, I have to say, wow. I gotta say 1998. That was the team that really made me a fan for life. As a 7-year-old growing up in New York, that 98 team was.
How many legends are on that team too? How many legends of baseball were on that team?
I mean, Jeter, the Hall of Famer, Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer to ever walk this earth, Hall of Famer.
The Sandman.
Sandman. Like Bernie Williams, an all-time great Yankee. And as well as you talk about the other guys that were on that team that were equally as important. Paul O'Neill, Scott Brosius, the MVP of the 98 World Series. Yeah. Jorge Posada, Girardi, and talking about the pitchers like David Well, Andy Pettit, David Cone.
Yeah.
Like that, those games, and also don't not forget the rookie El Duque, Orlando Hernandez as well. Like for me, that team for me was by far the best Yankee team I've seen in my lifetime, no question. From top to bottom, they won 125 games in total, winning the World Series and sweeping it down. It was really just sweeping the World Series in 98.
That team was something else, man. That team was something else.
Yeah, like they had everything: starting pitching, bullpen, lineup. This was not a lineup in which that they were home run hitters. Like the most home runs a single hitter had in our starting lineup was 28 home runs, and that was Tino Martinez in 98. We just knew how to get on base, take advantage of hitting with runners in scoring position, and that 98 team did it better than any team I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, no doubt. But thanks again, Shook. I appreciate you coming on, man, and hanging out with us for a bit. I know you're busy, and I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I definitely appreciate the time, man. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me on. I had a tremendous blast with you guys this morning, and amazing. I absolutely can't wait to see the finished product of this episode, as well as like the feedback, any feedback that you guys may get as well. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you guys.
No problem, Shook. You have a good one, buddy. Go Pats, and let's see what happens with the Sox and Yanks. Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Team Tom, let's go.
Absolutely. go Pats, and let's go Yankees. Hopefully by the end of the day we have a 4-way tie, maybe, perhaps.
All right, buddy. You take it easy. Have a good one, man.
You too. Have a good one, guys.
Man, it was great having him on. He killed it.
It's gonna be an epic day today, man. Between like Sunday Night Football and
I didn't realize all those details about baseball. I knew that there was a few things going on, but
it's
wow.
It's literally coming down to one game, like one day and one game for like 5 or 6 teams. It's crazy. Coming down to one day, one game. The ending to the MLB regular season is going to be insane.
I love it. I love that. Birdman says Lions beating the Bears too. Oh, I hope you're wrong, buddy. I really hope you're wrong. I can't say you are though. I can't be cocky about it because I don't know, man. Anyway, my man, what are we gonna do? Do you have any more topics, or we want to get some fan questions?
I want to. So let's hit on this too.
Sure.
The Lions and the Bears are an interesting matchup, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, this is the game that me and you thought that the Bears should, or we thought, let's be honest, this was the plan was probably to put Fields into this game.
This is what you predicted. You first predicted this.
I mean, I think that this should have been the plan, to let him face a team like the Lions, who are kind of floundering and don't have a vaunted like front seven or a quarterback like Mayfield who's mobile and can throw. This was the game that he should have had his debut and start against, but Andy Dalton got hurt, and it forced him to start against like a buzzsaw that was the Cleveland Browns. It'll be interesting to see how I hope Fields rebounds in this game. I really do.
Me too.
I mean, I hope he rebounds, and I hope he gets his confidence back and he's slinging it around the field. But I just wanted to get you. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on it. But what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think for the matchup today for them?
I consider 0% of that Browns game when I consider Justin Fields. That can be entirely placed on Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's doorstep. And you can set that piece of crap on fire and leave it there because that is exactly where it belongs. They're the reason why the offensive line sucks. They're the reason why Matt Nagy – so Pace is the reason why the offensive line sucks, because he invested too much in skill positions and linebackers and not enough in cornerbacks or offensive linemen. And with Fields, dude, he had less than a second to throw. We talked about it in the Lions preview with the Sports Fury. If you haven't checked that out, you should check that out on I-90 Sports Talk. The thing is, he had no time to throw. He had no time to think. And that was his first.
Dude, what was it? Under 2 seconds to make reads? It was
under 1 second. It was like an average of, according to this tweet, which is like a Bears Insider, it was 0.78 seconds.
So not even 1 second to make progressions. That is a, I don't care. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. That's not enough time to make a read and make a progression and
that's why I blame Fields 0%. He gets 0% of the blame. He didn't even get to have his feet wet. He basically was put on top of a giant cliff and shoved in. And there was just rocks at the bottom. There was nothing for him to even, there was no way he could start swimming. There was nothing he could do. Like, he had no and yes, there's maybe I'll give you 3-4 passes where it's like, okay, throw the ball, Fields. You know what I mean? But that's it. And that's a rookie. It's like, if you don't have that as a rookie, you must be like Justin Herbert or something. Like, you must be a monster. So, like, obviously you're going to have that. So until I see Fields with some protection, some time, the other team doesn't dominate the time of possession by like 80%, until I see that's a little bit of stability, I'm going to hold my judgment on Fields. I'm going to give him a long time, because at this point, I'm now looking at Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace saying, do you even deserve your jobs? Like, you guys didn't set this. You drafted this young QB, but you didn't set him up for success. And that's just inexcusable, as we talked about with Josh from the Sports Fury. That was just, it's inexcusable. That's the word we all ended up using, because it's just, it is. That's the word I would use to describe it. But that's all I have to really say. I have nothing. I'm just wanting him. I want Fields, as I just talked to Shukri about. I just want him to throw him to the Wolves and see what happens on the other side. And if he comes out alive, then he's our franchise quarterback. And if he doesn't, then we need to just tear this everything down, all of it, just destroy it, level this entire franchise and start over, because Fields is our only hope.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be watching that Bears and Lions game, because it's going to be, like I said, I hope Fields rebounds nicely, and I hope I hope he torches Detroit. I really do. I hope he torches Detroit. I hope he's
learned from last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Move him around a little bit.
Yeah.
Get him on the run. Throw a screen pass, for God's sake. My God. That was so annoying. He's like throwing down the field. It's like, dude, you have less than a second. How are we supposed to get through our reads? We can't even get through our second read without being on the ground. So Yeah, it's nuts, man.
There's a lot of good football being played today, though, man. There's gonna be a lot of good games. There's a lot of good games going on.
I'm hyped. Hell yeah, man. Do we have any?
So let's end it like we usually do, JD, and take some questions from the chat, and we will we'll answer some questions.
Please.
Here's one for you, buddy.
All right. Should a young, promising QB be the first piece to turning a bad franchise around, or should be the young? See, that's a really, really good question. It's kind of like asking what comes first, the chicken or the egg. You know what I mean? It's like you really don't know what's best. Like the Seahawks, for instance. If you look at the Seahawks in the early 2010s and stuff like that, the tens, as I'll call them, they got everything. They built an awesome team around Matt Hasselbeck. They basically said, all right, you're our veteran and stuff like that. They built a running game. Marshawn Lynch, amazing secondary, one of the best secondaries you've ever seen in the league.
The Legion of Boom.
Then they just happened to hit on a third round pick known as Russell Wilson. See, and then you go to 2 Super Bowls. So that worked out well for them. I think at this point, our best chance is to do the second one, or the first way you said it. We got a young QB. He has some promise. Give him now. Honestly, they usually say, I think Colin Cowherd always says, I'll give him 16 to 17 games. It's like, well, Fields deserves like 25 to 30 games, in my opinion, because he's starting with like less than most people start with. Although I will give you, Justin Herbert is an exception. He came in with the worst offensive line in the league and still dominated. Doesn't happen to everyone. Fields maybe isn't that talented. I still think he deserves a little bit of a chance to show who he is. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
What do you think about that philosophical question? Do you think you should start with a young quarterback and build around him, or do you think you should start with everything else and just kind of insert young quarterback?
I think it's
O-line first, but I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
It's interesting though, because there are teams out there like the Bucs are a perfect example, right? How many years have we stated that team is exceptional in every position on the field, defensive wise, offensive wise? The one thing that they were lacking was a leader and a quarterback.
They definitely had talent. I'll give you that.
That's what I mean.
They had a lot of talent.
For years and years and years, they were a talented team with no leader. It was a rudderless ship, you know?
So that's an interesting way of putting it.
People have been saying for 5 seasons, Tampa Bay was a rudderless ship, but they have the talent to really make some noise and really challenge some people. And then you insert a leader and a guy with an attitude and a winning culture. You insult
the greatest leader.
You insert the winning attitude and a guy like Tom Brady who focuses on discipline and getting better and being the best you can and the effort. See, an underrated thing that I think a lot of these good these good/great quarterbacks bring to these teams is their leadership and their ability to elevate the play around them. You know what I mean? They make people better. Brady, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, some of these guys notoriously for known for lack of effort. They take plays off or they don't try. Look at that Super Bowl run. Look at the playoff run that they had. Every play was 100%. Brady had those guys locked in.
They're all locked in.
You don't take a single fucking play off.
Nobody was
Not one play. Every play is 110%.
Very little penalties. Everything was.
You are locked in. You're focused. We are all focused on one goal, and that's winning a damn Lombardi, right?
It's hard for people like me to not say, okay, well, looking back at the Patriots dynasty, who was really responsible for getting everyone locked in? Was it Belichick or was it Brady or was it both? I think it was probably both. And Brady didn't get enough credit for that.
This is where they fed off of. This is where the Pats fed off of both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Belichick's a defensive genius, right?
He was.
So
he probably still is.
His job. So Bill's job as a defensive minded genius, right? Brady is my general on the field. He is a coach. He's my general. He is my leader on the field. What is my job as a defensive-minded coach? Get him the fucking ball. Get him the ball. How do I put the ball in this man's hands as much as humanly possible? That's any coach's job. How do I get the ball in my playmaker's hands as much as possible? That is their job, right? Especially
Absolutely.
Bill. Bill knew it as a defensive-minded coach. If I can take this football away from the other team and put it in Brady's hands and let him work and let him do his thing, and don't ever get it twisted, Patriots Nation. Belichick took Brady's raw talent and the potential that he saw in him and sculpted it into what it is today.
I agree.
He took that thin piece of metal, that raw piece of metal that Brady was, and sharpened it into a freaking scalpel, a razor blade. And
Belichick,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, from 99 to 2010, Belichick deserves every ounce of credit for that Patriots dynasty and for Tom Brady in general. I just think that Tom, after that point, that last decade, that whole 10 years after that, Tom wants love for that because they went to the Super Bowl like 6 times.
Oh yeah,
and he wants
no doubt.
I was a big reason we did that.
And that was why I will go to my grave saying it's 50-50. And if you listen to both of them speak, let's be honest, right? I'm gonna tell you some truth, and a lot of people might not want to hear it, right? Mm-hmm. Bill and Brady have massive freaking egos,
huge.
They're the size of the United States. Both of their egos are huge. Granted, it's warranted because of who they are, right? They have massive egos. But get this. When they were asked, they both gave honest answers. Bill was asked about what Brady has meant to him multiple times, and he said this one, he has given the pretty much the same answer every time. And it's, somebody asked him recently, a couple of days ago, if he would have the same success if he didn't have Tom, and his answer was of course not. I was lucky to coach Tom and have Tom. He knows. Brady down in Tampa, when they asked him what Bill
he knows
meant to him.
Yeah.
And Brady gave the same answer. I was lucky to land with the Patriots and get drafted and learn from Bill and take Bill's teachings. They don't ever get it twisted, Pats Nation. As massive as their egos are and their little black hearts when it comes to like just winning. And I'm telling you, they both have massive egos, right? But deep down inside, you take both of those answers that you heard, they both know that they would not in any way, shape, or form be as successful as they did without the other one. Brady knows that without Bill taking him and just over 12 years of just constantly coaching him with a chip on his shoulder and poking and prodding and pushing him to be better. He coached him like an asshole,
Yeah. No,
but
he did.
He
worked.
Poked and prodded and pushed and made Brady better. He always wanted Tom, do more, do better. It was always a constant, I'm going to put this little chip on your shoulder, drafting Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm going to constantly put this chip on your shoulder and coach you no different than anybody on the team. It was that coaching that drove that guy and his raw talent to be the guy that he did, and he knows it. He just listened to both of those answers that Brady and Belichick gave. They know deep down inside that they would not be as successful as the other one without each other. They know it.
100%.
They absolutely know it, and indirectly they gave each other credit for building the other one. Like the way they are, it will always be 50-50. It will
has to
always
be.
with you put Brady on one other team for his whole career, and he may win a couple of Super Bowls just because of how good he is, right?
Sure.
Right? And you put Belichick, the coach, on any other team, like give him Aaron Rodgers, give him Drew Brees. Like he may win three Super Bowls, but he wouldn't win 6. You know what I mean?
Not without Tom.
That's what
I agree.
In my opinion, I mean, I
Phil
don't know how
Jackson,
you
Michael
feel, JD,
Jordan.
but I don't know how you feel from an outsider's perspective. But as a Pats fan growing up and watching this team and being a fan, like being a true fan, like my dad would plop me in front of the TV and watch, and I'd be watching when I was a little kid. But I'm talking like serious Patriot fan from 1991 to the present. It will always, in my mind, be 50-50. But I mean, what do you, from an outsider's perspective? I'm just curious to what you think about it.
No, I agree. I think Brady and Cool Genuine Phil asked, will Brady? Or no, somebody. Pete McDevitt show asked, does Brady get a positive or negative response? And I agree with Cool Genuine Phil. I think he gets a positive response. Everyone knows what Brady, especially after he won, and he needed to win with the Buccaneers. He did. He needed to win with the Buccaneers so he could say, hey, guys, listen, as great as Bill was and as important as he was to me, I was just as important. And now he can come back to Foxborough tonight, and he can say, like, hey, guys, well, I'm home. I'm here to beat your ass. You know what I mean? And I agree with that with Phil also that Kraft needs to put a Brady statue out there. They need to give him the respect for what he did.
No, he needs to be. He needs to
be properly recognized.
He needs to, like a statue of Brady outside of Gillette Stadium as you walk into it.
It's only fair.
What he did for this franchise for 20 years absolutely merits that.
Well, Brady walked outside of Foxborough and everybody was like, dude, you're the greatest of all time. You have 6 rings. You're amazing and stuff like that. You're incredible. You should have won that game against Philly. Belichick screwed you over. And he heard that over and over and over. And it happened. It just was years and years and all the things. And Belichick kept being a dick. And it's like, hey, got to do what you got to do. But you're right. No, I think over the years it became 50-50. I really think it really was that. I think 99 to 2010, it was Bill Belichick's franchise. In 2010 to 2020, it was Brady's franchise. And now Bill Belichick wants it back, or he did want it back. And I don't know. That's why
you will see. I'm going to call this right now. I'm going to say this right now, live on the air. And you guys, if it doesn't happen, you can come back and bash me for it. Those two, no matter the outcome of the game, will shake hands.
Yes, they will.
No matter whether the Patriots win, whether the Patriots win or whether the Buccaneers blow the doors off of them,
probably hug each other.
Those two will shake hands or embrace in some way, shape, or form, because they know that like I said, deep down inside their little black-hearted, big egoed selves, they understand what the other one did for them. Brady and Belichick's 20-year dominance of this league will never, JD, me and you in our lifetime will never see that again. We will never see a 20-year run of excellence and dominance and just the way the NFL is designed today. It's meant to stop that. And Brady and Bill spit in the design in the NFL design's face for 20 seasons.
It did. Exactly. No, you just said it. It's what it is. And that is exactly what. So in that case, why wouldn't they embrace? Why wouldn't they hug? They're too successful and too, what do you call it? They're too, they mean too much to each other to not just say, hey man, let's just focus on the good times. Remember that 20-year run? It was amazing. Let's not even focus on 2018 to 2021 or 2020. Don't need to worry about that. Those years are behind us and stuff like that. So I agree, and I think actually this will be a very nice game. This will be very nice to see. I genuinely hope that it's a good game. I really do. I hope it's a close
that he's
game.
going to get. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
Finish. Go ahead.
That was it. Oh, I was going to say I hope it's a really good game. I hope it's close.
The response that Brady is going to get when he breaks the all-time passing record, because he will break the all-time passing record this game. He's 67 yards away. He will break Drew Brees' record. They will stop the game. They'll shoot fireworks off, and he will get a standing ovation for probably 5 minutes, because that is what that guy, like Shook said it perfect. You love the guy. You love the guy. You love the player. He has meant, that dude has enhanced my football watching ability for the better part of my adult life. For 20 seasons, 20 years, I have got to see what the pinnacle of football is like. Lived it for 20 years, dude. So let's not get this right. Let's not get it twisted, man. 10 Super Bowls in 20 seasons. He has been to 10 Super Bowls in 20 seasons.
You got to
think about that.
Like him.
Let that sink in for 1 second. In 20 seasons, he has been to 10 Super Bowls
and won 7 of them.
So that breaks down to basically, if you break it, think about this. Every other year for 20 seasons, the Patriots were in the goddamn Super Bowl. Let that sink in for us. Like,
every other year.
Take a minute and let that sink. That type of a run just doesn't happen, dude.
It never happens. It never happens. It's similar to like UCLA John Wooden years. It's unprecedented. No question. And it's you like. So let's just to end it, man. It's like I'm just like you. I'm hoping that the Patriots keep it competitive. I hope it's a super entertaining game. I want to see Brady and Belichick battle it out. I want to see the ultimate chess game tonight. You know what I mean? Well, it'll be the first time we've ever seen it. Brady's offense versus Belichick's defense. This is going to be amazing. So I'm hyped. That's all I can say. I want to see the ultimate chess game tonight, and I hope and pray that this game is like a touchdown game heading into like the final 6 minutes of the fourth. It really is exciting. That's what I want. I want to see them keep it close. I want to see them and it's going to be a good day for Boston sports, man. We got the Sox, like the MLB is just going to be straight up chaos. Like it's going to be a lot of fun, man. So to just end the show today, guys, like great show. Wow. It was once again one of the best. Once again, man, like this was a phenomenal show. Thank you again to Shukri Wrights for coming on. And I know, like I said, I know he's a busy guy and I know he's got a lot going on. And I thank him for taking the time out and hanging out with us and talking some sports. But that's gonna do it for episode 12 of the I-90 Sports Podcast. For me and JD, guys, thank you all for listening. Once again, if you're on iHeartRadio, if you're listening on iHeart, we are live on YouTube for the show. So if you want to participate in the chat and ask us a question live on air, swing on over to Beantown Breakdown on YouTube. And also my guy over here, JD, if you're wanting to listen or share a particular segment with some friends and family, he does all the editing and he chops up each segment of the show that we do. So he's also got a YouTube channel. JD, can you drop that the I-90 Sports Talk YouTube channel on the chat, and then we can we'll end it off. But that's again so if you want to basically hit up the I-90 Sports Talk YouTube channel, that is where the chopped up version of the show is. It's all of the highlights and all of the different segments. But thanks again, guys, for making episode 12 great. We appreciate all the support. Go Pats tonight, JD. Bear the fuck down. Let's go. We can't lose to the Lions. We can't. Go Bears. Go Bears.
All right,
Hell yeah,
guys,
man.
take it easy. Have a good
Take it
one.
easy.
We love y'all and appreciate every single one of you guys.
Love you guys.
And have a good weekend. We will see you later. We're out. Peace.
Peace.